I picture a conference room and they're all sitting there, and Patrick Reed's wife is walking around, just seems walking around being like, add whipping boy into that. And then she's legitimately, she's sitting there like kind of with like her hand on her fucking chin. And every time he reads it out loud, she adds another word that she thinks will be like a fucking dig at them. It's so good.
Foreplay brought to you by Barstool Sports, the Barstool Sports Network, barstoolsports.com, store.barstoolsports.com, and presented by our very good friends at Chevy, Classic American Company, Chevrolet. Early podcast today, so I'm going to preface that. So when you hear the takes and the words coming out of our mouths potentially differently, slower, less thought out, which is amazing than normal, I want you to know this is a pre-10 a.m. current moment, Eastern time. So I want you all to understand
it's
that.
It's very early for you. I'd also like to make that clear. People will hear 10 a.m. They'll be like, I was at the salt mines at 4 a.m. this morning. But Riggs is 3 hours behind us. So it's before 7 a.m. there.
It is and it isn't, because I sort of like at the beginning of the week, I just shift my schedule anyway, a little bit like Frank the Tank, like sleep shifts. I was in bed before 9 p.m. last night. I have texts from 9 p.m. that I didn't see that I woke up to this morning. So you kind of just shift everything. And the beauty of that is this time of year, we don't do daylight savings time here in Arizona for whatever reason, but we're 3 hours behind right now. So if we get this fucking podcast done, I mean, by 8:30 local time, I'm done for the week. I got nothing to do. It's fucking Wednesday at
playing
9
golf this
a.m.
afternoon. I saw you posting that it was 78 degrees. Is right now just like perfect Arizona conditions?
I'm probably another week or two away from being able to play golf,
really?
To be honest with you.
Fuck.
Yeah. I went out and it is prime. It's perfect weather right now. Perfect. It's just going to be like that until like April. But I went out Monday and I chipped and putted because I just got the itch. I couldn't help it. I can move. I'm fucking mobile. I can move around with the ankle. And then I like meandered my way over to the driving range and I took a couple wedge hacks and they were pretty good. The only issue was like when you turn at the end when you're right, because it's my right foot, starts to turn because it was the outside of my ankle that I fucked up. I got a couple twitches, so I actually did like unintentionally, I swear, like almost the tiger thing.
I was going to say, you should post a video of you hitting
kind of going down. Yeah,
you should hit a swing video
down.
where it says making progress.
And then that's not a bad idea. And then I started to get, it gets looser. You get blood flowing a little bit, which we're going to come to. And it starts to get looser. And I started hit 8 irons. I hit a few drivers and it was fine. And I was like, I can play golf. That's great. And then I didn't go out and actually play. It was like evening, whatever, went back. And then I woke up yesterday morning and I couldn't move my foot. And I saw a few people, because we had posted the podcast yesterday and I talked about the ankle. And a few people were like, hey, I'm a nurse. And like, whatever you do, don't play golf. You will regret it dramatically. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I woke up like, I don't know. I've never had that before, because it was pretty much the, like the right side, the top of your foot. That's sort of like where the issue is, because I rolled it, to the outside, basically. I guess I rolled my foot towards the inside, but the outside muscles got sprained, torn, whatever. Well, now, for whatever reason, the two muscles or the two parts of the back of your heel that like surround your Achilles tendon are like violently sore, to the point where if I stretch where I like point my toes up, that back part there is like in excruciating pain. It's not as bad today. I elevated it yesterday. I'm starting to you get into fucking like rehab, like Twitter is just like drummer Twitter or golf Twitter, where people are like, oh, you don't know that ice is out now. Like ice actually, research has shown that icing stuff actually like hinders the healing process. And I'm like, we're out on icing your sprained ankle now. So I'm getting all kinds of mixed signals. I think the point is to try to stay off it for extended periods of time and rest and elevate it. And then also when you're not staying off it, like give it a little bit of get it through some exercise, get it moving. I think like I'm always of that school of thought of like, if I have bad like a skin rash or like I had poison oak or something, get it out in the sun. Like let that shit fucking air out and like get it out there. So I'm trying to mix it up. Long story short, I don't know that I'm going to be playing golf for a little bit, because I think it sets you back like 1 week every time you go play golf. So I got to be pretty careful about it.
Is this your first sprained ankle ever? Is that not really a hockey injury because of the skates kind of give you support? Or?
Yeah, it's not really a hockey injury. Yeah, exactly, because of that reason. I feel like your ankles and your all the way up to like your shins are sort of one because you tie your skates really tight. You know, if you in any way could sprain your ankle in hockey, it would either be going like crashing into the boards, which is what happened to Sidney Crosby. He had like a high ankle sprain for a couple of years that he suffered from, or you're a total bender. And the term bender comes from ankle bender, which is literally you're out there skating and your ankles are like wobbling around. That's a term for like you're a bender. So if you're in the corner fucking trash talking, like shoving your gloves in somebody's face, you'd call somebody a bender.
So bender's bad. You don't
bender.
want to have loose
your ankles bend out there. You basically are a noob if you're playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, when I was out there, when we've done, what was the hockey video that we did? Was that a hair video? The one, yeah,
Minnesota hockey, high school
in
hockey.
Central Park, I believe, and a lot of the responses that I got was bender because my ankles were in when I was out there, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I got pretty sturdy ankles. I've never twisted an ankle in my life, but when I'm on skates, apparently I bend in, and I just got called a bender, and I thought it was a good thing at first until it was made clear to me that it is most certainly not.
Yeah, it's not. It's like sprained ankle. I feel like, again, in hockey is not as common, football, basketball. Like you're kind of turning and twisting on your ankles a lot. Hockey, it's like you said, it's almost your skates are so encompassing on your foot all the way up through your ankles that they kind of almost act like a brace and they don't move a ton. Not that it never happens, but I've never had a fucking sprained ankle. A lot more knees. You get knees in hockey. You get a lot more upper body stuff because that's obviously where people collide is more upper body, where like football, you're diving at people's legs. Hockey, you're not diving at anybody's legs. You're kind of like hitting them shoulder to shoulder, so you get more fucked up that way. From Bolt to Blazer, Equinox to Silverado, Chevy EVs are for everyone everywhere. What does EV stand for?
Electric vehicle.
Electric vehicle.
Electric vehicle. A few of Chevrolet's beloved and best-selling have been designed as electric vehicle models powered by Ultium for an all-electric future. Equinox EV, Blazer EV, Silverado EV are powered by Ultium. Chevrolet has electric vehicles available now, buy now, the Bolt EV, the Bolt EUV, and reserve now, which is what I'm going to do. The Blazer EV and the Silverado EV, they are affordable, so you don't have to be rich to have an electric vehicle from Chevy with an established full-line brand like Chevrolet, who, by the way, rolled out the first SUV almost 100 years ago now. We at Chevy can offer multiple EV vehicles with the volume, the variety, and the value customers all over the world have come to expect. EVs for everyone, everywhere. That is Chevy, Chevrolet, classic, old school, traditional meets new school meets EV. EVs for everyone, everywhere. Chevy.
Speaking of hockey, New York Islanders and the St. Louis Blues play tonight when this show comes out.
Fuck,
So that's
we need
Thursday
a W.
Night. Islanders
Blues
coming
are
off
the worst team in the league right now.
they were
4-game
undefeated.
winning streak.
They were.
4-game winning streak. The Islanders have went in. They shut out the Rangers. Then they went to Carolina and beat them. Then they scored 5 unanswered against the Colorado Avalanche. Then they go out to Chicago, who all I see is this guy Barstool Chief saying how hard of a team they are to play and how fun they are and how the Chicago Blackhawks are a fun team. He drinks his bourbon while watching them.
You say fun team. That's your way of saying your team's like not really good.
Dude, also
Detroit Lions. The Detroit
Listen,
Lions.
yeah. Listen,
fun team.
Whenever I'm facing another Barstool personality, like what my team's facing them, I mute them that morning. So I did not see any of Chiefs' tweets until I got tagged in them a million times because it's an all-out war, and I don't want them to know it. I probably just gave out my card. Like I just ignore the opposing team.
It's surprising to me because you're fueled so much by hating the other
Well, if you
side.
see my tweets, they're all just like daggers at Chief, and like I don't tag them or anything. They're just like it's a fun team because he said the Islanders are the least fun organization to root for in all of sports. They're a very boring system. They play just defense. They're one star.
they're the New
left
Jersey
them.
Devils from the late '90s.
Their one star left them from for the last 30 years. He left during free agency. And then when they're good, they're just not good enough. But then that last point just drove me crazy because you can't say that they play a boring style and they're never good. And then at the end say when they're good, they're not good enough. Like that when they're good is like when they're fun. Like, so I think that third bullet ruins everything else he said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
I know what you're
that
saying.
year that
I
they
got you.
the back-to-back years they made it to Eastern Conference Finals, you can't just like be like, oh yeah, those 2 years that they were unbelievably good and Borelli's had 1,000 people inside and like they were scoring goals like crazy and beating the Bruins and beating the Penguins. Like they weren't good enough to win the cup, so like they're usually boring. It's like, what are you talking about, Chief? Like you just skipped over 2 years of our lives. Like it's like half the years that you've been here. It's insane.
Yeah, let's go Blues tonight. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of the.
Where's the
main-
game?
That's in St. Louis. It's in St. Louis. Islanders coming off 4 wins. Hopefully Sorokin's back in net. The guy's unbelievable. Brock Nelson scoring every single game now. Ever since Trent's really hopped on the wagon. He's starting to watch every game now. Trent, I feel like, hasn't seen a loss. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, so I watched last night's game because I do want to get more into it. Like before I was just going to whatever game we went to, and then I would check the scores, but I wouldn't watch the games. And then I watched a game last night, and I was on one of the TVs here, so I was kind of going back and forth between the World Series and everything that was going on. But yeah, Brock Nelson's on fire. I started watching. They won, and it felt great. I think they look great. As you know, I'm a great hockey mind, so I know what I'm looking at when I see it. And when I watch this,
right?
Yeah, when I watch this Islanders team play, I'm like, boy, they just got it.
Hard to play against.
Really hard.
The Blues have given up 5 goals, 7 goals, 6 goals. Ooh. So it's like, we just need to probably stop the other team from fucking scoring.
It feels like tough to win games like that.
Not to pile up everybody's Thursday, because that game's Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got
Is that game Thursday or tonight?
That's Thursday.
And we've got a dozen matches I believe is coming out on Thursday as well. Our first one of the season, and which was a lot of fun. And I think we have an episode of the Scotland Travel Series coming out on Thursday.
Yeah, today. Now, is that coming out during the day or at night? That's something that we have to get an answer on right now. Right now, Alex Bush, we need an answer on when that video is actually releasing, because if it's releasing during the day, we'll be able to say that.
Right.
Good moment, Bush, you fucking idiot. Don't mess it up.
I believe we're doing it at night again for this one, just like a normal 8 p.m. unless we change.
See that? I don't like that started with a I believe and not a we are.
Is it going to be 8 p.m.? Is it going to be 7 p.m.?
We do have Thursday Night Football, so
right. So now you're saying a lot of things that I was talking about.
God damn it, Alex Bush.
Yeah, this is you have these conversations.
Didn't sound like a definitive, answer there. Is kind of what I think. That's what Frankie was looking for, Bush.
My vote would be, and we're having a live meeting again.
Oh, we're voting. Okay,
right. We don't have to vote. It doesn't matter. 6 or 7 would probably be best.
Season. We can vote.
Thursday Night Football. Does Thursday Night Football really take that many people away from 2-screen viewing? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they're already streaming it, right?
They're already streaming. It's
how
Amazon.
cocky of us to think that we legitimately go up against Thursday Night Football.
Right.
At that.
I don't know that it really makes that big of a difference.
I don't know.
Eagles versus the Texans.
Shield. It's us versus the Shield tonight.
What's the game, Frank?
It's the Eagles versus the Texans. It's a 14-point favorite.
That's going to be
just like the worst game of the year.
Meanwhile, you got Trent and Riggs against Lurch and Frankie, which is a pick'em.
I just think it's a lot to ask of people to like if you are going to get the people that are watching Thursday Night Football to sit there and watch an 1.5-hour golf video, then go straight into the football. It's like, why not just give them the opportunity to do both at the same time? I think that's what a lot of people do anyway. You know what I mean?
With that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think
if you're a normal human being, you're watching like one of them on either a phone, laptop, iPad, second screen. You're watching it on 2 TVs. You're not like, it's 2022. If you have one screen, you have food stamps.
Right. It's like you're asking someone
at that point. There's anything wrong with that.
We'll donate.
Help you out.
You're asking someone to donate 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours to sports viewing.
I'm talking one screen. If you have access to one glass screen, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all have access to multiple screens, whether they be anything. You know what I'm saying? It could be an Android, it could be an iPhone, it could be anything. You can watch this video while football goes on. I don't think it's possible. I really don't think that many of the people that watch our videos have one screen accessible to them.
How about this also? Well, let's put a call to action. If you're going to be watching football and you're going to be mainly paying attention to football, just throw on the Scotland video. Even if you're not paying attention to it, just throw it on.
It's just so good. That's why
it is good.
We're making such a point to watch this one because I feel like we lost a little bit of steam from the fact that we had to put out both of the scramble videos because it was hockey opening night, and then we also had to put out the breaking 90s, and we've had a lot of stuff that had to get out. Now we're back into the swing of things with Scotland Series. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks since the last episode, so you're going to have to get back into like the fact that we were there and all the storylines and the matches, but it's so good. This place, Crail Golfing Society, I got tweets and DMs about it being people's #1 bucket list golf course from people in UK. I got a message from a guy from Ireland saying like everyone talks about this place, Crail, that you have to get there. Like, you can't believe it's even a real place. 1786, the whole entire deal. The fact that it's called a golfing society is unbelievable. They have all these cobblestone walls going down the fairways. It's old school Scotland shit. Right on the water too. So cool. You have to watch it.
I do remember Trotty being like, I was like, yeah, golfing society. Was that like a pretty common term? And he's like, That shit. They just do that for marketing now.
First
but
five
Crail.
holes. First 5 holes at Crail are. It's
Oh my
just
God.
right on the water.
And
It's
it
just a
was
tee box,
a-
water, and a flag stick.
Windy motherfucking
Yeah.
day that we had at Crail. So yeah, that's on YouTube. And then we got shoes. We got new G4 shoes coming out. Transfusion. We've been working on these puppies for over a year.
So
they got to
good.
make them. They got to ship them. Literally, this is one of those things we talk about where we're tracking them as they're on a giant vessel going through the ocean. Is there a storm that's going to affect when they come in? That's what it takes to get these puppies in. We got the MG4 squared, which are the more street cross trainer. You wear them to the gym.
They're
You can wear
so
them to play
comfortable.
golf out on the town. You can wear them to work. You can wear them around the house, cutting grass, whatever the fuck you want. And then we got the Gallivanters, which I got behind me, which are obviously the more classy, traditional look that G4 does, while also being extremely comfortable. Oh, yeah. So we got both of these, store.barstoolsports.com. Go check these puppies out. I think they're going to be available in retail, too. So if you've got a local PGA Tour Superstore, Golf Galaxy, that kind of place, we love PGA Tour Superstore. They're very good to us. Go in there, check these puppies out because we got cool new shoes. If you're looking at them on YouTube, you probably already bought 2 pair because they're that fucking hot.
I feel like my scoring average goes down like 1 or 2 shots when I wear the Gallivanters, just because when I'm wearing them, I feel like I'm on the PGA Tour. They're PGA Tour shoes.
The Gallivanters are like pants and class, and you're right. You're like when you're putting, you kind of look at yourself. You can look down and be like, "Whoa, I should make this." Everything's
exactly.
aligned. Everything's nice and tight and classy and comfortable and traditional. So yeah, I agree. And then they say 19th hole on the back. I did laugh that somebody tweeted. I posted these yesterday. A little like unboxing, mini unboxing, and the other one says hole on the back of it. This shoe says 19th, but the one that I started with just said hole. And somebody responded and thought, I thought when you dropped the other one, it was going to say mass on it, which would have been pretty good if we came out with mass hole shoes. But it says 19th hole. So yeah, go check those
Yeah,
out.
the MG4X squares are just built for comfort.
Yeah.
The other one, so it depends on whatever you want, what kind of lane you fall in. I know Trent and I love those MG4X squares because in Scotland it saved our feet, it saved our knees. Everything about it was just like pure comfort. We were walking on hard pan grass the entire time, and obviously the Gallivanters are also built for comfort because they have that iconic G4 bubble insert where when you're standing on it, it feels like you're standing on a cloud. I don't know how that they have. I guess they have a trademark for that stuff. No one's ever copied them. The inside of a G4 shoe, whenever you talk to anybody that talks about G4, they talk about the inside sole. You can talk about the outside, you can talk about the looks, the colorways, the whole deal, the customization that we did with the Transfusion collaboration. It's about the insert. That's what you're paying the money for. Is what your foot feels like when you put one on. You're like laughing out loud. You're talking to your friends, being like, you can't believe. I've taken my shoe off and told people to put it on just to feel it. And I've never done that with a shoe in my entire life. They're the best shoes on the market. That's
I've
why
done
they're
that. I gave them to my my dad to try them on, and his first reaction when he put them on was, "Ooh."
Dude, my
You know, a
dad
lot
was
of
like, "Can I
those.
get this insert for my shoes at like the restaurant? Like that, my body just feels better." And I'm not even just saying that just to sell shoes. I genuinely think it's the best shoe on the market. All G4 shoes, the way that they do that.
Store.barstoolsports.com. Go check them out. Big news in the golf world. Scientists find giant ocean evidence on Mars.
Yeah,
Did you
Yeah.
see this, Frank?
I didn't see it, but that doesn't surprise me.
Using
didn't come across-
topography data, researchers have found clear evidence of a 3.5 billion-year-old shoreline around 900 meters thick, which covered thousands of square kilometers on Mars. The findings, quote, point to a higher potential for life on Mars than previously thought. Scientists use maps to find traces of an ocean in the north of the planet. These maps provide the strongest evidence yet that the planet once experienced sea level rises consistent with a warm and wet climate rather than the harsh frozen landscape that exists today, aka it used to be much more similar to planet Earth.
Yeah, they had a nuclear holocaust like fucking 2 billion years ago. They just fucking nuked each other and they lost their atmosphere, and now comets hit them throughout the last billions of years, and it's just over, right? It's just like a complete barren wasteland. They have no atmosphere. Comets hit them all the time. They're not able to fucking sustain life anymore because they've just ruined their atmosphere from all this stuff that's gotten out there over the last billions of years, and they can't. It is what it is. They definitely used to be. Mars used to be an oasis. An absolute oasis with little things swimming through the rivers and the streams. It's a
What's
shame.
the update on trying to recolonize Mars? I know Elon's got so a lot of things on his plate now with Twitter, but wasn't that one of his original things was trying to recolonize Mars?
I think one of the big issues is obviously no atmosphere. If they have no atmosphere, then you can't contain anything
It's
in
like
there
Live
that
Golf.
will
There's
then
just no atmosphere.
foster life
joke.
and
That was a
regrowth and regeneration. And so I believe that's one of his great issues. I don't know if they're going to try to like manufacture an atmosphere, or I don't know if they're going to try to create something that's not going to need it. But he is of the belief, according to his interviews that I've seen, that we're going to have to get the fuck off of Earth at some point. And if we're not ready for it, we're going to get fucked, just like the dinosaurs got fucked, just like potentially this new finding, whoever used to live upon Mars got fucked. How crazy is it that we're all like, oh, is there life in the universe? Who knows? And it's just like our next door neighbor, the closest thing to us outside of the moon. They're like, there were oceans. It's starting to get a little more likely that there was life right there.
No,
Right there.
Yeah, it's as clear as day. You know what I mean? It's as clear as day that there's stuff going on out there. Every day now, since we started talking about space and Mars and all these things for the past couple of years, ever since I really started bringing it up, I get tagged in that same video where it just shows exactly how many, what they think the universe looks like, where it's just that pan out. I think it starts in like Carlsbad, California. It's just like a Google Images thing, and then it just zooms out and just keeps going and going and going. It's one of the craziest things of all time, and you just sit there being like, what's happening? Like, obviously there's a billion Earths out there, maybe a trillion, maybe a trillion different places where
Trillions
people
and
live.
trillions of Earths out there.
Yeah,
Hard to wrap your head around.
it is.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Unfortunately, life does not come with a user manual. So when it's not working for you, it's very, very normal to feel stuck. We all get there all the time, very frequently. It's not just you. You're not alone. Navigating any of life's challenges can make you feel unsure, whether it's a career change, maybe a new relationship, maybe becoming a parent. All kinds of things are going on in everybody's life. The stresses of life, especially these days. Therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you.
I'm a
Do
big
not try
therapy
this
guy.
alone.
I'm a big
Are you?
therapy guy. Yeah, I'm a big therapy guy. I'm going to say it on this podcast. I'm a big therapy guy. We have this job which puts us in public a lot. People say a lot of nasty things about you. And I'm a big therapy guy. And I want you guys to know that therapy is cool and women love guys in therapy. It's like the number one thing. You tell a woman that you're in therapy, she
Chicks
thinks
dig
that you're
therapy.
just the most emotionally mature guy there is. Therapy's awesome. There's no shame in it. I'm very pro therapy.
As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. Could not be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/4. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/4. Learn, save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/4. One thing we forgot to talk about in the last show is Bermuda. So the Bermuda, we did a lot of Live talk. We didn't even talk about the tour, which I will say Liv's having their championship tours in Bermuda. I've been in the Bermuda tournament a couple times. Bermuda people are nice. They're fantastic. But Bermuda's an island. Any island is going to be weird by nature. It's just fucking, it's just a little different. It's the Bermuda tournament. So it's like it's the Bermuda tournament. Great. It is what it is. Fall. People were out there drinking rum. They love rum. We used to do the Goslings deal all the time out there.
Yeah.
So we would go there for that puppy and have dark and stormies. Be like the one time of the year I would just drink from the second you landed until you left. Just rum, 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 rum. And then the whole rest of the year, just don't drink rum at all. Seamus Power got the W. Ben Griffin, rookie, who, they're playing up the whole deal about how he was like a fucking loan officer for a little bit because he gave up the dream. Collapsed on the back nine, but was still positive about the whole thing. I think he had a 2-shot lead on like the 12th tee and then finished 6 over on the last like 6 holes or 7 holes or whatever it was, which is a damn tough break. But anyways, PGA Tour, That's what happened on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, Seamus Power was the only top 50 player in the field, and he got the win, which I think that's a sick move. I love that.
Yeah,
I
that
love
is
when
nice.
you
Like
are
going to the John Deere Classic.
Yeah, it's like when you are the best player in the field and you go there and you win. I think that's awesome. I
Strong.
wrote and in the Monday Morning Read, I said that's going to be from here on out known as a power move. And it's happened a few times in the last year. John Rahm did it in Mexico at the Vidanta Open. I think Tony Finau did it at the 3M. I just like that. I like going in there because it doesn't happen very often. Obviously, if you're the number one player in the world, it doesn't really apply to you. But if you're like, you know what? I know that I'm the best player here and the field's not great, but I'm the best player. And then you go out and win the tournament. That's a power move. So shout out to Seamus Power. 2 wins now. Good chance of making the Ryder Cup team. We're going to see a very, very different Ryder Cup team, obviously, given the situation with Liv. So guys like Seamus Power, guys like Sepp Straka, some of these guys who are like US based and come up through the PGA Tour and aren't really European tour based guys. You know, a lot of these guys are going to get a really good chance to make the team because the Poulters and the Caseys and the Westwoods, they're all out.
What do they call it when there's a presidential campaign going on and the networks have to give equal time to each candidate?
I know what you're talking about. I don't recall that.
That can't be true though, because like the national networks were just hammering Trump, like Trump.
I think there's something about not even like talking about them, but having them talk on the network. Like I remember when Trump was going to host SNL and they were like, oh, you got to make sure, the other candidate gets their time. I forget what it's called. I think there's a term for it. The reason I brought it up, I was just thinking about, our Live and PGA Tour discussions, like how I wonder what the balance is. Like in the last year, it's probably been pretty heavy Live.
The Equal Opportunity Section 315
There
of the
it is.
Communications Act of 1934 attempts to further First Amendment freedoms by providing that broadcast licenses must permit equal use of broadcast facilities to all legally qualified candidates for political office, and that the broadcast licensee may not censor the candidate's messages. So I do believe this is, to the Trump point, I think it sounds like it's only like sold airtime. So it's like you can't, like if, like Trump
I
was
was gonna
famous
say,
for getting
they're
free
obviously-
media all the time.
There wouldn't
Got
be
it.
like a Fox News versus CNN thing if that was the
No,
case.
right.
I
It's-
want to say that got like repealed or something like that then allowed with Fox News and all that came up because they're not doing equal time. I know that.
No. No, neither of them.
No,
You're not
no,
seeing
no.
Trump sitting on MSNBC tomorrow. That's
No.
definitely not happening.
No.
That law
Yeah,
is also
maybe
from 1934, so things have changed quite a bit since
But
then.
I remember it being in the news. And then this is not the direction I necessarily wanted us to go. I was just
Jesus,
saying that
Trent.
we talk about Live a lot. We talk about the PGA Tour a decent amount. I was just wondering what the breakdown would be. But I remember there being something about this when one of the candidates, I believe it was Trump, was going to host SNL. And they were like, well, then you got to give other people an opportunity because of this specific law.
I believe the law has been changed a bunch. Speaking to that point with the elections coming up, I hadn't lived in a state that's closer to a swing state in a long time. I mean, Arizona is not necessarily
You got
considered
to be bombarded.
a swing state, but in 2020, it went Democratic for the first time in a while in the presidential election, and like the first, I guess, 3 or 4 or 5 times before that, it went Republican. But like, yeah, it is. When you drive down the road, it's sign after sign. And I mean, they are vicious signs. It's like the one I'm seeing is like, so-and-so voted for 85,000 new IRS agents. And I'm like, well, yeah, fuck that guy.
It's like, all right, okay. Not even listen to the radio. You're just like, I'm going to sign watch today.
Yeah, no, like the
It's
ones in
everywhere. I'm
New
getting
York.
phone calls all the time. It's crazy.
The only ones I see in New York are like this district attorney voted to put 1,000 murderers back on the streets.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh,
There's one.
Oh, yeah.
There's one ad, a New York one that's really corny. That's running. I honestly don't even know which side of the aisle it is, but it's a guy talking about a rotten tomato, and he's like, "This is like this congressman, and this new guy is like a fresh tomato with all these beautiful." Opinions, and it's attack ads. There's some, if you want to go down a YouTube rabbit hole, just look at like best attack ads of all time politically, and they're insane on both sides. It's insanity.
I feel like the 3 a.m. call was a big one. Remember that one with Hillary Clinton, where it was like, I think it was Hillary Clinton. Maybe it
Oh
wasn't.
yeah.
Where it was,
Big one.
yeah, it was like you got a call at 3 a.m. that there's a nuclear missile coming our way. Like, do you want this person in the Oval Office?
Yeah, it was a extremely scary one.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
oh god.
It was like your child is sleeping. The phone rings at 3 a.m. It's like a nuclear attack. Who do you want answering the phone? You're like, oh fuck, we're under
Yeah.
attack.
It's that time of year.
Ooh, yeah, it's everywhere around here. And then it's nuts to think about. As soon as this shit's over, in like a couple months, we'll just start having people announce their candidacy for president of the United States for 2024. So it's just
Right.
gonna be happening pretty quickly. I actually was thinking about. Remember last year when I pitched a bunch of segments to you guys?
Yeah.
I got a new segment idea, and I was gonna have it ready for this show, but I decided not to. But the idea is called the Topic Wheel.
Okay.
And I was gonna have, so it's like a Wheel of Fortune kind of thing, or not even Wheel of Fortune, Wheel of more like Price is Right wheel, where you kind of like. So if you were up, let's say Trent was up, I was gonna have a wheel that has say 12 topics,
Okay.
and you spin the wheel, and whatever your topic your
we
wheel
get wet?
lands on, you have to give your take. And I was gonna have Phil's performance on Live, and I was gonna have Tiger Woods' chances at the Masters, and then I was gonna throw in like gun violence in like the young African American community, and just throw a wheel, and like you could get anything. And
Was that like Coney? Remember that?
Coney
Coney
2012
2012.
Wow,
Yeah.
I donated. What a fucking sheep I am.
against Coney. You
Yeah.
didn't- yeah. Okay.
That
You're
was, I
anti-
mean,
cheap.
dude, the
That was
like
probably the
height-
first. That was probably the first thing I ever got swindled into in my life. I was in 11th grade, I think it was, and I was just like, I'm gonna change the world today. I'm gonna set up my PayPal account. I'm gonna pay $20, and they're gonna
There you
stop
go.
this guy from wrangling up these children, these child armies, and going in and slaughtering all these people. And then that guy just took all the money and ran. It's just like
that
the
guy, I'm
craziest-
pretty sure, a couple of
craziest
years
thing of all
ago,
time.
he, am I thinking of the same, was it Coney? The guy who stripped naked and was running through the streets of Los Angeles?
Was it him?
He went crazy and he was just like pounding on car hoods. And people are like, well, I don't know what he did with that Coney money, but I don't think he did the right thing.
this is your
Yeah.
guy, Frankie.
I
That's your guy?
got a little key fob, and I got a.
Well, listen, if you want to talk about getting swindled, like that's a mainstream one. That
Oh my God. He
that
got
Coney 2012 like
hundreds of
hype
millions of
video
dollars, I
or
think.
yeah, it was like they
It
were
was
hoping
one of
it
the
would
first
get,
like viral marketing campaigns.
yes, they were hoping it would get 2 million views. It had 25 million views in an hour. Like
Yeah, I was like, 17 years old, probably scouring the internet for some big titties or something, and all of a sudden I'm seeing like genocide happening in Africa. I'm like, what's going on over here? They just threw it right in your face. It was every single ad was this fucking video, and you had to donate. You absolutely had to. You had to change the world.
yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, I like
I'm
the wheel. I like the wheel. As long
glad
as I
you-
don't get wet after it.
I thought I could throw a little spice in there.
I like
Yeah.
the wheel. I like the wheel. It's a good off-season idea. Can get us talking
I think I'm
about
gonna get
things.
I'm gonna get a topic wheel made up, and then I think I'm gonna get each sort of lane on the wheel or each piece of the pie that's like dry erase, so I could write different topic on there. I'll have it back here, and we'll spin the wheel. I'll get a little interactive, and then that person has to give their take. We'll have a little.
You could do it digitally also. Our resident nerd Alex could make it a box here on the Zoom, and then you could
Don't
you
hate
could
that.
have it.
My plan was if I was going to have it ready today, I was going to pull one up on the iPad. I figured you could have to be able to Google like a wheel, and you
Yeah,
could put shit
and
on
you
there.
can customize it and shit. Alex can figure that shit out. He can
Yeah,
bring
figure
in.
it out, Alex. Fucking do something, Jesus.
Yeah, so I
Um,
just to follow up on the Coney guy, it said TMZ obtained the blurry video of Russell's meltdown, which shows the 33-year-old human rights activist completely naked and engaging in puzzling behavior, shouting expletives, clapping to himself, making sexual gestures, and pacing feverishly up and down the street. So that's where your money went, Frank.
Yeah, it might have been some drugs, some drogas involved there. Just
I
a
would imagine.
guess.
Definitely
That's
a
right.
chance. Yeah. Definitely a chance.
Did no one else
that
here donate?
occurred.
I can't remember.
I don't
I
think
don't
I would
believe
have.
I did.
I don't think I did. I don't think I was willing to go through the process of setting up whatever,
I think it was a PayPal account.
Digital
I think that was the
transaction
first
I
time
needed
I
to
ever
make.
set that up.
It used to be harder, right? To just pay for shit digitally. Now it's so easy.
It's just
I don't know
Apple
when
Pay.
PayPal came around, but I remember that
you
being
just double
like
click on the side of your phone, you pay for anything.
I remember PayPal being like the most revolutionary thing of all time because you didn't have to put in your credit card information anymore. It was just you signed in with this email, and I just happened to remember the password all the time. And it was like the greatest thing of all time. And it has to be
Elon?
at least 10,
Is
15.
PayPal Elon?
Yep, that's Elon.
Yeah, it's amazing. I
It's-
still
it's-
use PayPal.
They're making paying frighteningly easy on the subway now. You don't even have to like do the thing where you pull up your Apple Pay. You literally just hold your phone on the thing and it pays for it.
Yeah.
Dude, when I went to the Turkish bathhouse with Tommy
You
and
have
Nick,
to unlock the phone.
I hadn't been. haven't ridden the subway in so long that I didn't even know that it had switched from you don't even have to have a card.
Dude,
You just
there's-
have to have your phone. You go boom and you walk
That
right
happened to
through.
me the other day at the grocery store. I didn't have my wallet on me, and I was so embarrassed. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm standing there. It's in my car. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I've been sitting on my wallet when I drive. I'm like, I got to stop that. So I have it in the little
That's right.
coffee holder, even though the chiropractor says it doesn't
Well,
do
you
anything.
scared us last year into thinking we're all going to have severe spinal issues because we keep our wallet in our back pocket.
I still think that there's validity to that.
I
but
still
the
take
one-
it out. When I'm in the
Yeah.
car, I take it out of my
Feels
Let's go
better.
wallet back pocket.
It feels better to
Yeah.
not have anything in your
Yeah,
back
I'd
pocket.
say the
as you
majority
said.
of people do.
Yeah, don't
Really?
don't come at us with that tone.
Well,
Danny
that's
Rap.
interesting
Yeah,
though
you're
because
gonna
I feel like
Come
it's
off like a
easier to get.
you're going to get bullied on the internet now. 'cause
I just
think
feel
most
like it's
people go that way.
It's easier to get stolen that way out of the back pocket.
Yeah, who cares?
I don't know. I don't
Wallet's
know if
never been
that's.
stolen.
about-
Pretty 35 years into this thing.
It's all about like comfortability for me.
Yeah, it's always. Where do you keep yours?
It's all
Front,
about my
left,
father,
right?
Yeah, everybody wants to do what their dad did. So it's like
So
my whole life.
I keep it in my
dad
back
was always
pocket,
back
but then when
right
I
pocket.
sit, I either take it out and like I'll put it in like the cup holder, or I'll just throw it in my front pocket if I'm gonna sit for a long time. But I don't remember. Oh, and yeah, I just didn't like. And I thought, I'm like, all right, what are you gonna do? You're gonna run for the fucking doors or what? Like, what is your decision here that you don't have your wallet at the grocery store? You have like hundreds of dollars worth of groceries for the whole week. What are you about to do? And I remembered I have Apple Pay on my iPhone, and I legitimately just went up to that little scanner. I went boop, and it just paid for everything, and I left. I was
Yep.
like, that was very futuristic to me.
That
Do you
is-
not
that's
use
almost-
Apple Pay on a regular basis?
I don't use Apple Pay like that. I always use Apple Pay digitally. I very rarely, and only in certain instances, have I remembered that I can actually scan it on those, because all those
agree
scanners
with you.
look so old and like dated, but then they still have that ability to do it.
Dude, I think if you make the full switch, we're talking about milliseconds because you just have to pull out your card, but you can just go bang. I do it everywhere now. I don't use my debit card almost ever. I'm just boom, 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 boom. It's the future.
We
Boom.
speaking
Boom.
of wallets, I spent a hockey season living with this family in Chicago, the Sampsons, and it was so I could play for a much better hockey team. I was like probably 15, 16 years old, and the father of that family, Roger Sampson, loved dinner. We would go out to dinners all the time, nice steakhouses, all this. He would always sit at the head of the table, and as soon as we got there, he would sit down, pull his wallet out of his pocket, and just set it right in front of him, and he just wouldn't move for like 2.5 hours, and he would just command the dinner table. So I always think about that with the wallet, of just as soon as he sits down, this is my spot, I'm not going anywhere, and he would sit there for hours, and that's what I always think about with the wallet. But I do think it comes from doing, in terms of which pockets and all that, I think it comes from, like, for me, it comes from wherever your dad would put it, basically. That's like how I would get it.
I'm front left with the keys, and then so the keys don't scratch my phone because I've had that issue a lot. And then I go front right with the phone.
I've actually last 2 or 3 years I've switched to I keep my wallet in my back left, so if you want to rob me, there you go. And my phone in my back right, which has changed my life.
So
do
you got
see
nothing
go
in the front
phone
pockets?
Back is crazy.
I sometimes keep my keys in my front
'Cause
left.
he doesn't
but
like the photos of himself, right? Is that what it originally came from? That you didn't like the photos in your, like, the big phone was in your front pocket. I feel like that's where you made the change. We would, like,
maybe I don't know. I
I would
honestly
get
don't-
amazing shots of Trent, like sunset in the background. He'd be like in a cocked, like, power position for a golf swing, and then he'd be like, "God, that phone is just covering my whole leg. It's all you see is phone." And I remember you being like, "I'm throwing that thing in the back pocket from now." I think we were at Torrey Pines.
No,
is when
I
you
think
made
we
that
were.
change.
I honestly, you know where I think we were? I think we were at Quaker Ridge,
Hey, shout out!
Oh, that's right. You
And I
were.
had-
we were.
and-
That
and I had a
When were
huge
you
phone
guys
in my
at
pocket. I don't know if
Quaker
that's the. I don't know
I
if
had
that's
to edit it out. I was like,
We
I,
did.
like,
We edited
smoothed
it
out
out.
his leg.
How did you guys play? Like, well, how did that come to be?
super.
Oh, are we not allowed on your fucking golf course? What the hell? What kind of tone was that? We just
Supers.
got invited. People fucking wanted us to play.
just a question. I was just gonna ask
know,
who you were
just-
playing with, or what
I
happened.
don't know. We
didn't
just
realize-
fucking played. Like, I don't know. We just fucking played.
The
golf
answer
course.
is we know that this guy Luke, who's a super out of
Yeah,
Rockville,
that is how it
knows
is.
the super at Quaker. That's
Yeah.
the
There you
answer.
go.
If I'm
All
not
right.
gonna I'm not gonna jump down your throat. I think I don't know what the original reason was for the phone in the back pocket, but it changed my life. And I know
It
people are
was. It
thinking
was that day.
probably, and people are thinking, oh, you probably sit on your phone a lot, and sometimes I do, but it doesn't. Phones aren't, they're almost indestructible. So
By the
when
way,
you-
speaking of Luke and supers and getting on golf courses, there's no better person in all of golf, in the whole golf industry, to know than the superintendent. That's
Yeah.
a guarantee in my book. Is that he's a better connect than the pro. He's a better connect than like the country club like president, because I just think that they have this community of guys that all work at the top golf courses in their area, and they have whatever access they want because it's their fucking golf course. They built this place. They maintain it. They live on it. They're there from fucking 5 a.m. till 9 p.m. every single day. And if they want someone to go play their golf course, they can have someone go play their golf course. Same thing. I mean, Rockville Lynx, they are the most accommodating people of all time. Luke's like, whatever you need. Where else you want to go? You want to go here? I got this guy here. I went to school with this guy at Michigan State. I went to this guy. Oh, are you guys going upstate? I got this guy at Turning Stone. It's crazy, their connections. It's
Michigan
insane.
State, the super at Quaker went to Michigan State.
That's
I think
Luke.
it's a very, very small community, which is interesting because it's a very good job. Like it pays well, and you're
Northeast
outdoors.
it pays well. I know.
Yeah.
We had that one show where we had a bunch of guys on, and the one guy from fucking Arizona was just complaining about water. Remember that guy?
oh yeah,
And he's like, I make no fucking money, and they're trying to take. So like, I do think like in the Northeast, it's a very, 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 very good job. I think they get paid very handsomely. But across the country, I do think
Right.
that they're underpaid for the amount of work they do put in, because there's these low budget country clubs and golf courses, specifically public courses, where these guys are fucking putting in double the work with less equipment, no workers, and they get no money. It's
Right.
fucking crazy.
But up here, it's like a very, very tight knit community.
Oh my
and
God, so much money.
They look after each other. They got the secret handshake, the whole thing. Supers they're the plug. They're the golf plug.
they really are.
Yeah, I'm out on pros. I am. They can never do
You're not.
anything for you.
They do sometimes, but supers are great. We're in on supers. I have no issues with supers. Low testosterone can have all types of health effects on men. It can cause you to lose muscle mass in your body. It can affect your mood, your memory, and even your sex drive. Let's Get Checked is a leader in home health tests and virtual care. I need to do this. And with their male hormone tests and home sample collection, it has never been easier to check your testosterone levels. Roy McIlroy is an investor. A lot of chatter about Roy McIlroy's investments. Clearly, he is pretty good because he's invested in Let's Get Checked. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in discreet packaging with a return label included. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available from your secure online account within just 2 to 5 days. That's
I'm
very quick.
taking this test.
Good. You should.
I am taking this test currently. That's something that I am doing. So we will await the results, I believe. And we're going to see where my testosterone levels are at. And I don't know.
Any guesses?
I don't know what the barometer of it is. I don't know how to gauge what a good testosterone level is. That's why I'm actually taking this. I'm going to actually learn about it. Hopefully, I would assume I'm on the lower side just because I'm more tired. I'm more frail. A lot of my, I'm always getting injured. So my bones are weaker. So I do think that I could use some sort of supplement to boost my testosterone. I have very feminine features, so maybe that will change. I don't know anything about it. I don't really know what I'm getting into. I'm just excited to go on this journey, and we'll see. I do think that it'll make me better. I think it'll make me more awake. It'll make me more alert. I'll be happier. I think I have it might change my mood. I think this could be pretty big for me.
Well, if you want to take the test like Frankie's going to, you visit letsgetchecked.com/foreplay and use the code foreplay25. That's all in one word, FOREPLAY25 for 25% off Let's Get Check's health tests. That's letsgetchecked.com/foreplay. Use the code foreplay25 for 25% off the health tests. I think they're cutting back our water, by the way, in Arizona. Speaking of,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what the
like-
Super was talking about when we had him on. There's some legislation that is
Because
only
you're not
allowing them.
supposed to live there, dude. You're not that's not a livable you're not supposed to have a civilization in the desert. So like it's all not natural.
You're not supposed to have a civilization anywhere.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? You're not supposed to have a civilization anywhere. Like that's
I don't know,
not.
I feel like like New York with 4 seasons is pretty civilization friendly.
Man, that's just breaking my brain. I don't know what that means. I feel
But
like
I'm saying,
there's
like,
like
you
certain
guys-
places where life like flourishes and the desert is like proven to not be one.
But I'm saying, like, you could argue that, you know, we are displacing here like less things than that. You guys are cutting down trees. Like Manhattan used to be trees and forests and all kinds of creatures living there, and they've been fucking displaced and gone because civilization's there now. Now there's giant skyscrapers and fucking in subways and horrific pollution. Like that civilization's not good for that area.
And gridlock.
Horrific.
Yeah.
gridlock.
I guess
People
that's
trying
a
to get from
different
Connecticut
argument.
to Long Island can't even get there because it's so congested because not that many people are supposed to be there. Bad
That's
for
a
the
different
area.
argument, though. I just think, I just think like it's You guys like are pumping in so much non-natural water because just to like survive there, as opposed to like this is so easily survivable over here that like so many people are living here. And like
Yeah,
it's,
but I
like,
was saying the
overpolluted.
winter, it's like brutally not survivable. The heat and like your cost of heat and energy get outrageous because it gets too cold.
Well, it's because we're
Whereas
too
here will
cold,
be-
but
it's
we
just
can
gonna be
definitely
beautiful.
survive. Like I just like it's 71 with a nice blanket over my ankles.
Yeah, that's what we get like every day. It's great.
But I'm saying I could survive in like 35 if I wanted to, just like they used to. The point being is that, I think they are cutting down water, which is what that guy was saying, because they have to use so much fucking water to keep those golf courses clean and alive. It's insane.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
cutting back on the water here, just in general. Like I think
Yeah,
because they
same in
allocate like
California.
a certain percentage of the Colorado River or whatever to certain states, and I think we're getting less percentage going forward. Which is
Yeah,
good.
California, a lot of houses are going AstroTurf lawns for that purpose. It's a big thing. You
Which
drive
I actually
through.
don't mind if they cut back on the water on the golf course here, because that means they'll be drier and firmer, and that means I can actually hit my 2-iron more, and the ball will go farther, and I don't have to hit driver all over the place. So I actually don't mind that much.
So global warming can speed up so you can hit more 2-irons.
It does kind of feel
That's
like
fine.
we're an alien species that doesn't belong here.
That's what I'm saying, Trent. That's what I'm saying, man.
Because if you just, you know what makes me think that the most is that if we all just vanished, if the whole human population vanished, within like 200 years, nature would just take it all back over. And
it'd be a way healthier planet.
that's always so interesting to me. Like maybe we're not aliens, but we certainly advanced further than the atmosphere and nature were thinking we would. And they're like, as soon as these motherfuckers leave, we're taking it all back over within a couple hundred years. Like there's those shows that, I forget what it's called, but it was like, it shows what would happen in 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, 1,000 years. And within 1,000 years, it's like we weren't even here.
Well, Chernobyl, right? The nuclear disaster. Obviously,
Yeah.
they had to like vacate the entire thing because there was all this radiation in the air. But even today, like 30 years later, there's deer and there's birds, even with all that radiation. So you're completely right. If we left Manhattan, it would just turn back into a forest a lot quicker than people think.
Right. Watch I Am Legend one time for
I was
me.
gonna
You know?
say you guys
Literally
watch a lot of
once.
I Am Legend.
No, but there is the show where it shows, like, I forget what the exact, like, certainly in 100,000 years, it's pretty much, there's nothing. There's
Totally.
I saw a TikTok the other day where the only thing that would survive in 1 billion years are the footsteps on the moon. That's the only trace there would be that humans were here, because there's no atmosphere on the moon. Nothing moves. So it's never going to go away. Those footsteps are never going to go away. Everything here is going to go away eventually.
Is like, I guess what I don't understand is how would all traces of all the buildings and the foundations that we've built, some of that would have to be findable right?
Let's just look at Mars.
They said the thing that would the thing that would survive the longest for humans
Styrofoam.
are our teeth.
Mm.
Yeah.
So they find teeth. They'll find teeth. But I honestly think, I know what you're saying, Riggs. All the iron and all the metals and all that stuff. Give it enough time, and it still just goes back to
Also,
the
the
earth.
impressions in the ground, right? Aren't we digging so deep for like bridges and all of these places? Like,
Subways.
wouldn't you see like, oh, there's an impression in the ground that clearly there was some sort of structure here? I get, like, you would think that we've made our mark enough that, but I don't know. I guess
yeah, if like
Mars is the
lava
perfect
and
example.
oceans just keep like churning everything up, and like eventually it's just all gone in a billion years. It's just gone. Just gets
I think
recycled.
on a
into
long
What
enough
if Mars
air.
used to be Earth and like they had people in fucking cities, and we're like, now it's such a barren wasteland that we look at it as like, oh, like we're gonna send this rover there and see if we can like turn the camera on, and what we can see on the ground. We're gonna take little pieces of sand and see if there's water that used to be here billions of years ago. Like that could just be what Earth turns into, where it's like we have no idea what used to be here.
Right. When you're talking
You have
about a
no
scale,
clue.
when you're talking about a scale of billions of years, and I think you said that the Mars stuff was 2.5 billion years ago or whatever.
3.5 billion.
There's no telling what anything would look like because it's just in unbelievable amount of time.
Did you see
many
what
years.
happens like when we talked about that Earth destroying asteroid that's coming towards us? Did you see
Planet
what
killer.
happens? Do you see what happens when one of those things hits the ground?
I've
Like,
seen movies.
yeah,
I saw-
but there's like a simulation that's been going around on Twitter and Instagram where it's like, this is what would happen if a planet killer hit us. And it was like, the comet was like the size of the Empire State Building from like left to right, like the width of it. And it just fucking hit in the middle of the earth. And it just fucking, the whole place just gets torched on fire. It's just a wave of just fire. So just everything's gone. It's gone immediately, like in a blink of an eye. Good night. Thanks for coming.
I'd prefer a blink of the eye than, you know, in the movies they always show the tidal wave coming or whatever. I'd rather just bang bang a play at the plate.
I want to get sappy on you guys for a second.
All right, well then I gotta get out of here. I gotta catch.
you
catch
You're
watch-
not
a
going
train.
to
Real-
sit for the sappiness?
real quick, did you
Come
watch
on.
the new war movie on Netflix? It was like all is quiet on the Western Front.
No, but
That's
it
a
keeps
book.
popping. It keeps popping
I
up
read
on
that book.
my.
Bro, people, you know, we talk about a lot of our problems. The life of a fucking young man
World War
during
I.
World War One and World War Two was fucking insane.
Yeah,
They
we're
didn't,
very
like,
lucky.
they didn't have enough socks, so they would get like fucking
not
gangrene
even,
and they'd
like-
have rats eating their boys.
Yeah, it's that was their life, was to like and they thought they were going in for like honor for Germany and like integrity, and they were going to come back and be these like noble like young men, and all the women were going to come, and they're like you're going to go in there, you're going to get it, and they're all fucking excited, they're putting on their uniforms, and then they just get thrown into the Western Front, and they're in these trenches, and they're like, what the fuck is this now? Like, first second he gets shot from, like off the top of his helmet. You're like, what? There's bombs here. There's fucking tanks. Like, we're just here to die. And then this is history, so I'm not fucking spoiling anything. But
Right, I mean, it's...
but
yeah, I mean,
3 million
what
people
happened.
die for 100 meters gained in distance. Like, what are we even talking about? How lucky are we that we get to sit on a fucking podcast and talk about our fucking dicks and space, when that was what was expected of young men across the world? That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, that was like the first modern war, and it was really, really, really bad. There were explosives. War used to be this like honorable thing where, you know, you'd meet in the middle of the field, and there
One
was
side goes, the other side.
Yeah,
goes.
there was
they
pageantry.
would
There was a guy
meet
playing
at night,
drums.
and they would like help each other, clear out and honor
Right.
the dead. And
Yeah,
then
and
it
in
was
World War
like-
One, they were like, we're just going whatever it takes.
Right. It changed in a bad way.
It's a tough movie to watch because it's just it hits you real hard about how fucking much it sucked, man.
Gabrielle Princip really just not good.
Took out the Duke.
Oh, that's just, yeah, it was like an accidental war. People were kind of like, nothing was happening, nothing's happening. People were like, we're doing this? And then just the worst thing ever. And then it happened again.
You can go down a big rabbit hole about
Awful.
socks in the war. I've done this before.
You're pretty deep on the socks, I can tell.
Yeah, dude, there was 100 right when they went in. Despite having the largest stock of knitting machines in the world, the United States was still having difficulties supplying sufficient number of socks. 150 million pairs of socks were needed.
It's a lot.
150 million pairs of socks.
And
Socks
they
are just
didn't
something
have,
that they didn't know laundry. It was
and they didn't have like the systems to build them that fast. So you're thinking like all these women were in warehouses
Yes.
just like knitting socks. 150 million
This
of them.
fucking socks done. Let's go.
It's not like it was in like a warehouse of like with a conveyor belt and shit. That's like legit hand sewing socks.
And then if they didn't have them, they would get disease that started in their feet and crept all the way up, and it would be a slow and painful death.
Dude, the worst part of this movie was when this fucking kid has a smile on his face and he goes up to get his fucking uniform, right? He's a German kid, goes up to get his uniform, and he's looking down at his uniform, he's smiling, and he sees that there's like a name on this with a little like blood stain, and his face changes. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And he goes back, he goes, I think you guys gave me the wrong uniform. And the general looks at him, he's like, oh yeah, it just must have been someone didn't like their size, like it's the wrong size. And he rips the name tag off and throws it on the ground. And there's 1,000 name tags on the ground of just like guys that just went before him to just get his uniform. And that was just someone that just fucking died in that uniform. And they just repurposed it, they cleaned it, they sewed it up, and they just gave it right back to him. It's just a never-ending cycle of death. Fuck, man. I just can't imagine being in the position of being in that trench, watching the guy to your right step up, get his fucking head sniped off, and you're like, okay, it's time to go. Like, I would be like, what's the point? I'm obviously going to get shot, so why am I doing this?
It's the
Are we trying
greatest
to just waste
generation,
their bullets?
dude.
Is that what the strategy was, to waste the other guy's
You know
bullets?
what's literally happening in Russia and Ukraine right now is
Right.
the exact
It's war.
same thing. I mean,
Right.
exact same thing.
It's fucking scary.
Yeah,
It's
the
true.
strategy was to just outlast the other guys. It was just, we're just going to keep bringing in more and more guys. We're not.
They are
gonna move,
going
and
city by
eventually-
city, and they are forcing young men into buses, and they are doing exactly what you're talking about right now in Russia.
That's
there ha-
fucking
There has been
horrifying.
such a shift in how generations view the war, and how, like you're saying, Frankie, they were going over there like, this is my duty. I'm doing this for my country. And then nobody thought the way that you were thinking, where it's like, what is this for again? They were just like, no, we're going to go do it. And it just has, now that there's been so much,
Dude, in England,
it's
they,
so
like,
horrific that people are like, why are we doing this?
in England, they like enlisted like attractive young women to go around and shame any like young man that wasn't enlisted and in the war, and shame you so that you like had to basically go and agree to go away to war and then just die. It's fucking horrible. And it doesn't end. That's what
we
I'm
all
saying. It
know
doesn't
our own
end. It's still going on.
Everyone's got veterans in their family. You know, obviously the older generation, they went through horrific stuff. We have fucking Zero Blog 30 on the Barstool fucking platform. You got Chaps, Kate, Captain Cons. These people went into war in our time. They went into war right now, and they like risked all these things to do it. Chaps got shot. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane when I watch this stuff. Like, to see what happened. Like, it's nuts.
And the horrific side of that too is when they come back, veterans get treated like shit, and it's,
Oh my God.
it's awful. And
No,
it's-
it really
it's-
opened my eyes to just like, what
Especially
the
back
fuck
then,
is
before
life?
PTSD and before you had
Oh my
like
God.
anxiety medications. These guys were just, okay, you're going to go from that environment back to walking the streets of, suburbs USA.
Right.
Good luck.
War makes no.
How about
sense
Trent's just in the
to me.
toughest spot right now because he really needs to leave, but if he just walks out while we're talking about this, he looks like the biggest asshole ever.
He's
I
got
do-
the posture where it's
Ever.
like
You
one
do have
one
to-
step, these guys already leaning out of the chair.
I do have to
One time,
leave,
he
but
just
I
can't just
want
walk out.
I have to leave like now, but I want everyone to know that I know how important this stuff is and how the stories are real and all that shit. And we got to treat veterans better. We got to do all that stuff, but I do have to catch a train.
That's
Okay.
fair. Trent, safe train ride, safe travels.
Thank you. I got to get to the office.
I do enjoy that we have a little bit of like Frankie's almost like in Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber a little bit, where he's like, "We landed on the moon." He's like finding
Yeah.
out about World War I. He's like, "Wow."
Well, I think
That
that's
was
the point
terrible.
of these movies. Well, yeah, I obviously
so
knew all this stuff happened. Is that I
I
obviously
thought
know
it
this
was
stuff
pretty
happened.
clean. I was clean.
I thought we just came in, got the W, and everybody's
Yeah.
happy. Oh, man.
No, I obviously knew it
What's
happened.
it
but
take? I don't understand what it takes.
Sometimes it takes like a movie to just like refresh your memory. Like, that's the reason they make these things. Obviously, it's for box office sales, but like,
All right,
at the
I
end of
actually
the
have to go.
day,
All right, Trent.
seeing it happen and like watching it visually with all like the new technology and like all the graphics and stuff, it just hits home harder. It to me, that stuff makes me feel like I'm in that situation more than when I read it in a textbook. Like, actually watching a 19-year-old kid get there in a trench and like the way that they're able to film it now, you feel like you're there. So yeah, I don't know. It's a reminder. It's good that they keep coming out with these things, because like, you just remember all these people that just legitimately gave their lives for essentially nothing.
No,
That battle,
is
that battle was
important.
for nothing.
Do you
It
think
is
if you
important.
were in the 60s, alive in the 60s, Frank, that you would have been like a draft dodger hippie kind of guy?
Well, that's asking the current version of me, who's like a soft, pathetic person that like doesn't realize how good he has it. I mean, until I watch stuff like this, and then I get all serious, and I ponder what like life really is. But I think hopefully, like in the '60s, I would have just had a different mindset. Like, you know what I mean? You would think that you'd have a little bit more pride into like what you're doing, and you'd get like caught up in the whole thing, and you would do it. I think now, if you asked me to do it, I wouldn't be able to. I'm just way too soft. I don't have that in me.
I'm just blown away at people in our armed forces who sign up for
It's amazing.
That. It's like, and even first responders, like people who put literally the ultimate like sacrifice is very much in play, and they're doing it so that we can do this. So like every time we go tee up a golf ball, it's like there are hundreds of thousands of people just like us, born in the same country, born under the same constitution, same age, who chose to do the complete opposite, where they're on planes to foreign lands, representing with the stars and stripes on their arm, carrying the flag, carrying weapons because they're under attack, literally like protecting our rights all around the world. It's insane. And then like Trent said, like, and for different eras throughout the country, I think we're better at it now, but it's still not perfect. Like veterans would be treated like shit. They still get treated like shit, way more like shit than they should. But I think that like hopefully we as a country have a ton, like enormous respect for them. I love it at, NHL games when you go and they usually, they recognize some armed forces and everybody stands up. It's like, we need so much more of that, because we just get to fuck around and do whatever. And none of that would be possible, because there are bad people out there that if they had their way would just own the United States of America. I mean, Vladimir Putin would just own the United States of America.
And we had that conversation a couple weeks ago about how all the math and what it takes for you to be you and like all of your ancestors and stuff. Just think about how difficult that is with war in the mix, right? And I mean, that every single one of those guys that I watched in that movie that just got clipped off, it's like that's just that family line. Is just, you know what I mean? That's something hard for me to think about. Just like how different the world would have been had that not happened.
There are a couple. So David McCullough, who recently passed away, who's a phenomenal writer. He's written a ton of
1776,
books,
I think.
But a couple books that I would highly recommend to people are 1776 and then the biography on John Adams. And you learn an unimaginable amount about what those folks back then, the founding fathers pretty much, and everyone that kind of ran with them, like what they actually went through and how hard they fought for exactly what we were talking about. Like they literally have quotes from then when they would write to their significant others or when they would write to each other. And they put quotes in there. These fucking guys 250 years ago say things like, we are doing this so that people can basically play golf and have fun in the United States of America. Like they literally say that. It's fucking nuts. They're like, we have to do this so that our kids and our grandkids' kids can like live the way that they're supposed to be able to live in our minds, which is like free and pursue whatever career they want and enjoy like the fruits of life. Like they literally fucking say this as they're battling like the Goliath trying to defeat, the British Empire and like all the moves that they're making. And McCall like puts all this into a very compelling story. And when he writes his books and you're reading this stuff being like, dude, that's the same shit that we say now. They were saying it back then, but they had no guarantee of winning, no guarantee of freedom. It was looking like they were going to get absolutely dominated. By all accounts, they should have gotten dominated. And yet they're sending these letters to each other being like, we have to continue to persevere. We have to win this battle, because if we don't, like the way of life for our kids and our kids' kids and all that just won't be the way that it's supposed to be. And you're reading this being like, holy fuck, that's what these guys did. And here we are doing this. It's fucking crazy. I would say 1776 is, for nonfiction, probably the best book I've ever read. It's like they just go through the whole thing. I think he starts in like the mid 1775 and goes all the way through till like 1777 maybe. So it's like you kind of go through the entire thing. And we just know it as like, oh yeah, like, the Declaration of Independence, it's great. That's kind of like all we know. And they go through everything from George Washington and the battles. And you're like, It's really, really, really good. So that's a high recommendation on my part.
Do you think that's a product of the times they were living in, that like that was their mindset, was like that's the highest you can go at those times, is to like have honor and move your country to a different like era, as opposed to now with the advancements in technology, like our most impressive people are just doing other things, right? Like they're thinking about how to, like, in generations and generations, their kids and their grandkids, they're going to need solar energy and batteries and all that stuff. But back then it was like, we have to legitimately win wars and fight.
Well, it's a product
physically.
of where we live, right? Like Zelensky in Ukraine is like
Doing
the guy.
that.
He's George Washington. Like
Right.
he's
Right.
he's
All the
yeah,
women in
he's-
Iran are fighting that fight right,
Right.
now.
Right. They're
Right.
literally
It
dying
is
in
a
the
product of
streets
where we
trying
live.
to like showcase to their country and to the world that like this is not the way it should be. We need it to
They're
be
just
this other
200
way.
years behind us right now because of just horrific like atrocities that have happened with them, where they're still doing that today, where we're
Yeah.
able to just like focus on other things because we've already gotten there.
I
Yeah.
think I read
That's
1776 when I was in college, and I remember being struck by how young they all were.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them were like 30 in their 30s, 35, 36, and they're writing the Constitution that is still relevant today. It's incredible how emotionally mature these guys were.
yeah.
I don't
and
have
it's
to
like,
read this.
it's funny how like emotionally immature we are now, right? It's like we go to like college for 4 years, we get like a hiatus from real life where you just booze and take a test like once a week. And so yeah, we're instantly like 4 years behind, like right there. It's not
I think
like
Shane Gillis talked about this. I always reference when him and he's on Rogan with a bunch of the guys. They call it like Protect Our Parks. It's like 5 comedians all get together and they all get drunk. But Shane Gillis is a huge American history guy, and he's very, very involved in like current politics and all this stuff. He's a hilarious guy, but he's very, very smart. And at one point he talked about, and I think I struggle from this, where he's like, dude, we all just think like America is like the world. And he's like, the world is a shit show. Like the actual world, most of it, 99% of it, if you're just going to call America the 1% of it, is fucking a nightmare. There's wars. There's like, there's people like executing people. It's
corruption
legit
gangs.
corruption.
like,
It's legitimate
horrific stuff.
chaos. Like people, like you see these footages of these third world countries and the way that they're living. Like most of the world is like not advanced and doing well at all. Like we're not succeeding in what civilization should be doing. Yes, we are, but we're in such a bubble. We're in like the most absurd bubble of all time in America. You know what I mean? It's like we actually have no idea. I am guilty of not really knowing what's going on, and like that's why I love talking about it, because I feel like I'm like kind of smacked in the face with reality half the time when I try and ask something, and then you're just like, yeah, Zelensky's doing it right now. Like people are legitimately doing that right now.
Craziness to think
I'm
about.
talking about something 200 years ago, like it'll never happen again. It's happening right now, today, tomorrow.
And even in the United States, we're in a bubble because there are parts of the U.S. where it's not like this. I remember I went to Congaree last year for the Palmetto Championship, and I think the area surrounding Congaree in South Carolina is like the poorest county in the United States or something. It's part of the mission of Congaree is philanthropy, and it's actually a really cool club. But you drive through, and it's like there's one broken down gas station, and then like a mile past it there's like a saloon that's like hanging by a thread, and that's basically it. There are
Right.
parts of America, especially in the South, that would really blow your mind. Like, I can't believe that this is America. So even
Right.
within America, we're in a bubble.
Right. No, big time. Big time. It's
Crazy.
You know, I was thinking
what a
about
golf podcast.
Zelensky was like the other day, he was on the phone, like basically screaming at Biden of like, no, we need more help. And it's literally what our founding fathers were doing to France. We're being
Yep.
like, no, we need your fleet. Like, if we don't have help, we're done. It's over. And if we do have your help and we win this, like, we'll be allies forever and it's going to be great. And that's what happened. And they end up sending the fucking Statue of Liberty like 100 years later and the whole deal. And that's what Zelensky's on the phone with, like his country's future at stake. They're being slaughtered. They're sending missiles into like Walmarts. And he's on the phone screaming with Biden and other leaders, like, we got to have your help or we're going to die. And that's 250 years later. And it's the same shit's just happening. It's just different places. But we do live in an absurd bubble. I agree with you, Frankie, where it's like perspective pie is incredibly important. And you don't probably think you're going to get it on the Foreplay Golf podcast, but occasionally you do.
Yeah, I just think it's important to talk about. It's like you gotta remind yourself, if not, if not for just learning it, just to just be reminded. Like for me, a lot of this stuff is like I'm really taking a step back and realizing what the fuck's actually going on, as opposed to I feel like we live our lives in such you get on this just. It's almost like the airport, the walkways. You just fucking go and it just takes you there. And you don't even think about what's going on. You don't even see the gates that you're passing. Your destination is the only thing you care about. That's what I do every single day. Is like, what am I going to do today? And how is it going to make my life better? And I think you have to sometimes, I don't think you think, you have to sometimes take a step back and realize what the fuck's actually going on around here.
Dude, when I walk through, I think occasionally when I walk through even like a city center or like a plaza or something, you're just walking through and there are just, as you walk through, blocks and blocks of buildings that have been built and streets. And then inside those buildings, there's different businesses that have leased them.
Yeah,
Think about
crazy.
how many things just had to get done for just those to exist. Like somebody had to buy that land. Somebody had to get permits to build this stuff on that land. Then all these people had to come in and physically build these things. Then they had to get coders to come in and like say that it's up to code. And then they had to go through the process of leasing all this stuff, which is a fucking nightmare. And they got to get agents involved. And then they have to come through and like build it out. And then I figure out all their supply lines. So all the shit that comes into, if we're talking about Manhattan, all the shit that comes into like Manhattan, they have to figure out how to get that from the places into their restaurant now that they're building. Like all of that stuff has just happened. And you're walking by now. All that shit has just occurred. Think about how much shit has just occurred.
It's actually funny because yesterday
shit.
I tweeted at Kava because there's been a Kava right next to Barstool HQ that has been coming soon since I started at Barstool 2 months ago. And every time, we get back from these trips and I walk by and I'm like, all right, Kava's definitely open by now. I'm definitely going to be able to get Kava, and it hasn't opened yet. So I tweeted at them yesterday being like, what's going on here? When is this opening? And they said, yeah, we're waiting on the city to approve the gas lines. Con Ed is just like slow, slow playing us. I was like, oh, that's a logistical thing that I never would have thought about before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a
They gotta get the
logistical
gas.
issue.
They got to heat the place,
That stuff is just happening all over the place. And then, like you say, one asteroid's going to come and just bang,
It's over.
gone. Oh, it's just gone. Everything that we're talking about, gone.
Did you
So-
guys, sorry, go ahead, Frank.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything.
Just switching gears a little bit here. Did you see Patrick Reed sued my close personal friend, Shane Ryan, for $250 million?
I just saw this came across my radar because Alex Bush texted it to me. What's going on here?
So Shane Ryan wrote a book about the Ryder Cup, and a lot of it talks about
Great
Patrick
book. I read
Reed.
it.
Yeah, a lot of it talks about Patrick Reed and how he
High
talked
recommendation. I think I gave it a high rec on this show.
Yeah, Shane Ryan's great. He wrote Slaying of the Tiger in like 2014, a really good book about the modern PGA Tour. And he wrote this book about the Ryder Cup that came out, and a lot of it talked about Patrick Reed and how he, talked about Jordan Spieth after Paris and stuff. And Patrick Reed hired this absolute quack of a lawyer named Larry Klayman, who is described by Wikipedia. Critics have described him as a gadfly and a racist, a frivolous litigator, and a conspiracy theorist, while Klayman describes himself as a modern-day John Adams in a fight for justice.
Go.
His litigation tactics have led to criticism and to sanctions from legal authorities, including a ban from appearing in courtrooms and a temporary... Anyway, the guy is a quack. He loses every lawsuit. He is suing Shane Ryan, Doug Ferguson, who is like the most down-the-middle golf journalist that there is, for $250 million.
Yeah, he's just AP Wire. Doug Ferguson. I like Doug Ferguson. He's always been nice to us. He is just he's literally the AP Wire.
He's
He
just
doesn't
down the
put
middle.
any subjectiveness on anything. He just says, basically his whole job is to be like, Kevin Kisner shot 68 and said, quote, "It was a good round," unquote. That's like Doug Ferguson's entire job.
Right. And the lawsuit says they are suing to protect his loved ones from the likes of Shane, Doug, and the rest of the jackals who make their sorry and pathetic living spreading lies and false information about him. My client, his family, and colleagues have been made the whipping boy of cheap and dishonest journalists in the golf media.
I picture a
Jackal.
I picture a conference room and they're all sitting there and Patrick Reed's wife is walking around, just seems walking around being like, add whipping boy into that. And she's legitimately, she's sitting there like kind of with like her hand on her fucking chin. And every time he reads it out loud, she adds another word that she thinks will be like a fucking dig at them. It's so good.
I mean, whipping boy, this guy probably made $20 million playing golf this year.
they are just so sensitive. It's crazy.
This is the next incredible chapter in the Will Ferrell movie. I mean,
Yes.
you can't make this shit up. Like, this is
I
too
know.
good. It's too good to be true. $250 million they're suing these people for.
I texted Shane. I was like, if I was you, I would just pay it. Make it go like $250 million. You make that in like Just write another book, dude. You'll be fine.
And that's not his first personal lawsuit, didn't he?
No.
Did he
Brandel.
sue someone else for like $1 billion, didn't he? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
he
like-
was suing
Brandel
Brandel
for
for
like $1 billion.
$750 million. He sued Brandel in the Golf Channel. If the
funniest
Golf
number
Channel
of
was
all
up for
time.
sale, it would go for like 1/8 of that price.
It's so good. I enjoy it. You know,
All right, Patrick, we're gonna sue Brandel in the Golf Channel. How much would you like? I want $750 million from it.
I don't
We
know
might
if
get
Patrick
sued.
even knows this is going on. I bet
We
he
could
doesn't
get
even know
sued.
this is happening.
We could get sued. It's not out of the question that we could get sued for just a jaw-dropping number.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you get sued like that?
You have to lawyer up. It sucks. I mean, I think eventually they pay the legal fees if you beat them, but it's a whole thing, and there's depositions, and you got to play ball. It
It'd be
sucks.
electric. That would be unbelievable.
They would
if
probably go
Patrick
through our
Reed-
texts. It would be really bad, I think.
Oh God.
Have we texted about Patrick Reed? I don't
No,
know.
I
Maybe.
don't think I don't think I've ever said the word. You could search my search history. I don't think I've ever written the word Patrick Reed in my text message or
I don't know
email.
if I have either. We are friendly. We've always been friendly to Patrick Reed. Actually, I mean,
He's nice when you see him in
Super
person.
nice.
Super nice. Like, it's
I
tough.
think
Like, if
it'd
you
be
play
good
with him
for
in a-
business if they sued us. I think it'd be good for business.
I've also been like pro Patrick Reed most of the show, being like this guy gets shafted half the time. They like look for things that he does wrong. I always thought that he was a funny villain. Like the fact that every time this guy showed up to a tournament, he was caught like moving a ball or like kicking the ball out of the fucking trees or something. It's like this guy can't catch a break. I know he always was like of the wrong to do it. It came at his own expense, but like, holy shit, man. Remember that time that he did something and then Rory did the same thing the next week and no one cared about it? It's like, this
It was
is
the
not
same
fair.
week.
It was
It was the
right at
same
Torrey
week, same
Pines.
tournament,
Yeah.
same like hole. It's like, what the hell's going on?
No, it's funny. If you played with, if our listeners, like, if you played a pro-am with Patrick Reed, you'd probably be like, this is a super nice guy who's
Riggs has interviewed him like a million times.
and talkative, and he's very nice when you talk to him in person. You just get the sense that he surrounds himself with less than awesome.
No, you don't get the sense. He's surrounded by complete fucking psychopaths that are all over the place when it comes to handling his public image. And that's why I'm saying I don't even know I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't even know this lawsuit's happening. He's just
Right.
like on the range or he's hanging out, like whatever. He has always been super nice. And I've told the story of like at Shinnecock during the US Open in 2018, which he played well at. We know a bunch of the staff that was, the pro shop folks who Frankie thinks don't do anything. They work like the driving range during, US Opens and all
Wait,
that.
what was that?
And they
What'd you say?
were. I said the guys in the pro shop staff. Who
Oh,
think
yeah.
don't do anything.
I'm just out on them.
They all work, the driving range, and they were like, they get all the balls together and then put them in nets and then or the bags and then bring them back out to guys. So they work the range. And they said, like on Sunday, going into the final round, which Reed was, I believe, kind of in contention, said he was the only guy out of all of them. Like took his headphones off, came over, shook all their hands, and was like, "Thank you so much for all the great work this week." And so they love him, and they're like, "Yeah, he's just was a super nice guy to us." So yeah, Patrick Reed is, by all accounts, direct interaction with us. Always been very nice. He did those interviews when he was leading the US Open at Wingfoot, where he just right after the round would basically be like, "All right, where's my guy Riggs?" And then I was like his personal interviewer for those 2 or 3 rounds. So yeah, he's always been nice to us. I do think that it could be some folks around him that are influencing things that are affecting his image in a negative way sometimes. If you've thought about securing your home with home security but never have done it, have been putting it off, whatever, you'll want to listen up. Right now, you can order the #1 rated Simply Safe home security system for 50% off.
Wow.
If you're listening to that, this is their biggest offer of the year. You do not want to miss it. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report, a 3rd year in a row. So we call that a hot streak, I believe, in the business. In an emergency, professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real. So you can get
What the hell is that?
I'm looking on Simply Safe
Faster
right now.
police
Someone working
dispatch.
on my house, doing a little bit
that.
of stuff there. But there's my Simply Safe.
craftsmanship
right there.
going
Little
on
craftsmanship going on. But I told you
Yeah.
this is no joke. I use Simply Safe. That is how I secure my house. You get in my house, you're going to be on my Simply Safe camera. I got one on the front, I got one on the back, I got one on the side, I got one on the garage. I got a bunch of cameras all over the place. You can't step on my property without it alerting me immediately that you are on my property.
I got the cameras as well. At my place,
Oh.
I got like 4 or 5 of them out there, and they're great.
Dude,
It's
it's crazy.
Oh,
I
it
love-
does. It alerts
'cause
you. They
I've-
kick on when they monitor somebody, when they
and
sense
now,
somebody.
I just realized I've had these things for what, like 6 months now. I just realized you can turn the light on them. So on the garage one and the backyard one, a bright light shines as you're walking up to it. So not only is it good for security, but it's also you get to see what's on the ground at night. Like you can. I've always needed kind of like one of these floodlights, like as I'm walking around the back of the house. Now that's completely solved my problem. I figured that out last night.
Simply Safe is a whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, which we've touched on, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Do not miss your chance for massive savings on my favorite security system, Simply Safe. Get 50% off any new system at simplysafe.com/4play today. This is their biggest discount of the year. That's simplysafe.com/4play. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
I'll issue my apology today instead of next episode on behalf to all the pros and professionals in the game of golf. I will issue an apology. I do not disrespect your job. I actually like many of you. I would say that I was trying to put supers on a pedestal that they deserve, and we need to put a spotlight on these guys because they do work in the dark. And I think that you guys took the shrapnel from that because I had to compare one versus the other. But yeah, love my PGA professionals.
I actually think I heard Frankie call you guys shirt folders before.
I
we
never said shirt
started
folders, no.
but I
No,
can't
no.
remember exactly.
No,
what
no, I never said that. I never even heard of that term, but I kind of like that.
You're gonna take that one.
Well, you just know that kills them because like half the
Kills
time
them.
they have to go to the pro shop and they have to literally fold clothes and put like.
They got like there's like thousands of them that have headphones in right now, like folding shirts.
I'm gonna hear it from my guy Dan.
Like
at
those
Col-
motherfuckers.
I'm gonna hear it from my guy Dan at Colonial Springs, who's just the nicest guy of all time, who literally is like in the pro shop all the time. Like, dude, there is nothing better than having just a golf equipment conversation with guys that know so much about equipment. We were talking about some new stuff and whatever, and these guys were just like having real debates about golf equipment. What happens in a pro shop, like in a country club pro shop, the conversations that happen in there, how serious you can get about very minuscule golf debates are so hilarious. I was standing in there for like 20 minutes talking about like what really is forgiveness for an amateur golfer. It's just like we're talking about club faces and like where the amateurs hit it. They always hit it off the heel because you're coming from inside to out, and like it doesn't actually matter about the toe. And I'm just like, holy shit! It's just like we could get into these debates for hours.
I feel bad for pros because they got to deal with endless like bickering bullshit and like politicking about tee times, about like why is the course this way? Why'd you guys set up the tees there?
Stuff they
How come
didn't
we
think they'd
can't
get
get into this
into.
event? Just brutal. My favorite is like I know this from the Pinehurst staff is like, you know, they'll aerate course 4, right? And they'll shut the course down for like 10 days. And then on day 11, like that motherfucker is opening. And people paid 10 months in advance and they booked their trip, and they'll get a notice maybe that was like, you know, a couple months out. It's like, by the way, we're aerating, you know, a couple weeks before, we're playing it open. And if they have a shit aeration weather for like 3 days following where it's cold or there's like the aeration's not going to go great, they're opening that motherfucking course. That is not the decision of the assistant pro. That's not the decision of the head pro. That has nothing to do with him. You know who deals with that? Is those guys. So those fucking people come in, they're all hyped up. They go play course 4. They have their round. It's pretty much looks like it was aerated an hour ago, and they come in and they're just rattled as they should be. And nobody wants it to be that way, but they got to deal with the brunt of that type of stuff, and that just sucks.
That's brutal.
Like,
That's fucking brutal.
We're having that
stuff
issue.
sucks.
We're having that issue right now at Quaker because they punched the greens on Monday, and it's the weather this week in New York is like unbelievable. It's like 65 degrees. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be 70 on the weekend, and a lot of people are not. They're like, why didn't you wait a week? It's we make this calendar before the season even starts.
Right.
Like we have to plan
Also, it's
these
the best
things
time
out.
to do it. The grass is going to grow back so healthy and perfect because it's such good weather.
Yeah. So you're right though. They take the brunt of things that they had nothing to do with.
They had nothing to do with.
I got an email, so like we get all these emails, Trent and I, for this place Colonial, and then they'll be like, "Oh, there's like new specials in the restaurant, or whatever." And I know, like, I think I'm 99% sure it comes from Dan's computer because like he sends out all the emails about like the range being closed or whatever. And the other day it was like, "We have new specials in the restaurant," and then it was a follow-up email being like, "By the way, the sirloin is not 32, it is 55. That was a typo." It's just like, if that's Dan talking about sirloin steak prices and typos in the restaurant thing, it's just like, that guy is such a good golfer and such a fucking elite teacher. Like, I just don't think that he saw himself sending out emails about like sirloin steak
Correction, the
prices and stuff.
sirloin's
Yeah, it was
$20 more than I thought.
Yeah. It's just like, dude, somebody get this guy out to the fucking range. He's like, he fixed my game. Like, come on, he can do this for someone else right now. So,
Dude, I remember
I
our
love
boy-
those guys.
Our boy Ben Bridgers at Pinehurst, who's the man, who's again great golfer. He's come up. He was, he's worked in the shop. He's worked all kinds of jobs at Pinehurst. Now he's pretty high up. But during COVID, the COVID shutdown, like all the hotels are shut down, and he's kind of director of membership. And for like months, we would always die because he would take phone calls for food orders for takeout from like the Pinehurst Country Club. And then he was always trying to upsell him for like a lava cake at the end. And we would always call him like Lava Cake Ben. And we would
So
hear
good.
we'd be in there having a beer or something, and he'd be on the phone with like Mrs. Smith. And he'd be like, "By the way, $6.95, we're doing those lava cakes. You want a lava cake?" She'd be like, "Yeah." We'd be like, "Yeah."
Dude, they wear many hats, man. Professional golf pros wear many, many, many hats. They have
He'd
to
hang up
they
the
have to deal
phone
with a
and be
lot
like,
of
"We got
bullshit.
another one, boys."
They got to deal with a lot of bullshit.
It
is crazy.
There's so much bullshit in all of these jobs. So yeah, we get it. We got to do a show soon, a Behind the Greens podcast again soon. We haven't done one of those. in a
Yeah,
long time.
I also want to these pros specifically in the Northeast, and I'm sure everywhere. This is more me living in a bubble, but I know on Long Island, these guys, all these pros playing these tournaments, and Dan, you probably know more about it. Like these like pro Met events are so fucking intense, where it's pro versus pro, and they show up. There's like cheating scandals. There's
There
like
was a huge cheating scandal. They caught someone.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy one. I actually have a funny story about that. But yeah, I like went to that guy. Like I like went to that guy's. Like he was like my teacher for a second. But yeah, it was crazy.
Wait. Do you disavow him?
I just don't know the whole story. I like haven't even talked to him about it. I don't
smart diplomatic
I like-
answer.
don't know the whole story, but it was like, from what I've heard, it was pretty crazy with
You
like
want to shit where
pulling
you
ba-
eat here,
pulling balls out of like the pulling balls out of the bunkers and like using like different balls. Like he'd be using like a Titleist 2, and then on the green, like while the guys were waiting, there was like a Titleist 4 rolled up, and it's just like, what's happening right now? Like almost fists were thrown. But I do want to do something at one of these events, like, because I think that it's such a cool event where it's like, not only is it the pride of the pro on the line, but it's like their club backs them. There's such a, it's like, it's literally like rooting for a team. It's almost like Live, where it's like, what team do you root for?
They're wearing
Like
the
my
logo
guy
on
from
their chest,
Colonial
on their
Oh, they're
hat,
definitely
on their
wearing the logo.
pants.
They're
like
got it
my,
out.
my guy from Colonial Springs is going up against that guy from Quaker, and they're in a match play event to see
Quaker.
who's the
He's
best
like
fucking.
out there
Like I want to make like I don't know what the rules are, but I'd love to make these like bigger events for these guys, like where we can like have fans show up and like root for. Like I don't know that they actually do that, but like I would love to highlight these things, because every time I talk to Dan about one of these events, I'm like, that sounds like the coolest thing ever. You're playing in like a competitive, bringing home the trophy to your home club type event. Like, why are we not talking about this? This is insane.
And there's a little bit of a split, because there are a couple guys who are technically club pros who don't really do what the other club pros do. They kind of just travel around playing in tournaments. And so those guys tend to win the events because they're basically professional
Right.
golfers.
Well, how about the guy from Deepdale? The guy played against like Tiger Woods. He's played in like 8 majors. He played against Tiger Woods in the U.S. Open and like beat him on
Exactly.
Thursday and Friday. And there's like a quote that I think he has like written on his like office, being like, "Who the hell is this guy again? This guy's good." Like from Tiger Woods. Like,
Yeah, so
The
there's
guy's
some
unbelievable.
Mike Ballo. You guys know Mike Ballo?
Yeah, Mike Ballo, like Alex Beach is another
He
one.
wins all
Danny
the time.
Bailey.
Beach, he like plays in the U.S. Open every other year.
Yeah, but like Beach, like I don't think he's folding shirts, and so there are definitely guys who feel like it's not a fair fight because some of them
where's
are.
Beach out of?
Beach is out of Westchester Country Club, but he goes to Florida for the winter and plays in like mini tour events, and then he comes back and plays.
So these other pros probably fucking hate when he shows up.
That's
to like
what
a
I'm
Met
saying.
New York event.
That's what
It's
I'm
like,
saying.
What the fuck?
That's what I'm saying. So there's that thing too. There's that like animosity within the field of the proper club pros versus the club pros. I'm doing air quotes for our listeners. Club
Dude, those are the bad guys, Frankie. This is like an extension of the Behind the Greens series. Like, you need to do like a documentary on this shit And we
Absolutely.
I just
hope
like
that
the bad boys of the Club Pro
the
tournament.
only problem
shows
is
up and
no one
everybody's
would ever
talking
be
shit
truthful
them.
about it. Like you'd need like shit talking, and like these guys are all pros and they're professionals. You're never gonna have
True.
like
We just
open
go anonymous. We just go anonymous.
right?
No,
Just
no.
like a
Just
like
get
a
him drunk,
mafia.
dude. We'll just get him fucking drunk and just like they'll just put a mic on him.
All right, here's my. I mean, I could always talk to Dan about it, but like, here's my call to action: is like, let me know which one to hide. Like, I want to go to one event and I want to make it like a thing. I want to talk about it. I want to prepare it on the podcast and be like, these are the top players. This is what's going on. This is where the event is. This is who's playing against who. The pride of this club versus this club, and all these different sections along on. I want to go to it. I want to almost like announce it. I want to be there and I want to like root for guys. I want to do that next year, this upcoming spring. Tell me which one to go to. I think they have them at like Bethpage Black all the time. They're
There's like there's a club pro championship. There's the assistant pro championship.
yeah.
There's a bunch of there's like a whole
Sick.
series throughout
I'm in.
the year.
I'm
in
fucking
too.
in.
I'm gonna
Frankie.
preview it like it's a major championship and write a
On the
story
blog.
about it.
There we
after.
go.
I like that a lot. Dude, Frankie, there's also really good like at the different resorts and clubs, they'll do a caddy tournament at the end of the year.
wow.
Like
Really good.
That's an easy one where you go for like 1 or 2 days and you document the whole thing because the caddies are a little bit. I mean, they're not as buttoned up as the pros. I feel like they might
No.
just let it loose. But you go to like Bandon or Erin Hills or a private club on Long Island where the caddies do their annual like end of the year caddy tournament, and you get like a lot of the members they do a huge Calcutta or something
Huge.
similar where they bet on the caddies on who's gonna win, and then they're out there like following their guy. And these caddies who fucking worked for everybody, carried their bags all year long. Now they got the whole like the weight of it's all on them, and they're hitting the shots. That's a phenomenal dynamic.
We should do like a version of the Barstool Classic. Is like the caddy championships. Who's
Yes.
the best caddy golfer in the world?
In the
How do we get that? We do like 2 or 3 flights, one in each section of the country, where like the caddy has to go there. If you think you're the best, you got to go play and you have to qualify. And then we have a caddy championship. Like we
gotta
finally put a light on these guys that carry everyone else's bag. Like who won the caddy? And we like have a prize, a cash prize. Like let's fucking Let's add this. I know we already travel and we already have so much logistics, but let's somehow do a tournament for caddies. Let's somehow do that.
Right. We got to have some list of qualifications though, because like in Florida and Arizona and Vegas, there's a lot of like mini tour players who are
That
caddies.
caddy, right.
You got
who
a
do it for
caddy
some
like
extra
let's
cash.
say you got a caddy
5
like,
years.
No, you got a caddy like 30 rounds that year or something like that. It's
Right.
whatever it is, and then
Right.
you're eligible.
Well, the club would have to offer up their best like wherever these guys caddy, like their caddy master would have to offer up like their
True.
best club.
Right,
You know
and
what
then
I
we
gotta
mean?
trust
win at
the
your
caddy
club.
master.
You gotta be
and we
the
trust
best
the
caddy at your club.
right. We trust the caddy master to weed out the like not actual caddies.
Yeah, right. I don't know how, because there's gonna be a billion people that want to play in it, but like the caddy masters would have to like run their own sort of tournament one day.
Qualifiers.
Each caddy a qualifier when they get to play on Wednesday nights. And like whoever wins that, he offers that person up in an email to us. We have like caddy championship at barstoolsports.com or something. And like we have a list of people, the story of like who they beat, why, like what did they do in that championship. Dude,
Imagine,
once
like,
we announce
the Pinehurst guy
that
shows
Wednesday
up
night,
just head to toe in Pinehurst gear. And
Dude,
the
I will-
whole,
I will
like,
blow-
resort
I will-
is behind him, and it's like
I will blow the preview cover. I'll blow it out of the. I mean, we will do full
Pinehurst
major
versus
championship
fucking
coverage.
Bandon versus fucking Cabot. It's like these guys are all showing up from all different parts of the country to go play at like an elite golf course. Come on, that would be so sick. That would be so fucking sick.
We'll have that next year. We're doing that next
yes,
year. Done deal.
Come on.
Done
Come
deal.
on.
What a meeting! What a meeting! What a meeting
Come
of the
on.
minds. Trent's gonna log on and be like, "We have what?"
Well, dude, this is how we came up with the 4-man scramble.
Trent,
we just
you're,
were like, we got
you're
to
the
figure something
commissioner
out.
of the caddy championship. By the way. Good luck.
When we came up with the 4-man scramble, it's all on a podcast. We were just like
Literally.
having a discussion about like, because Riggs was just going to play Kiz. He's like, we got to do this for, it's like at the height of COVID. He wants to
I was
going to
play Kiz
charity.
from half the yardage. So Kiz was
Right.
going to play from 7,000. I was going to play from 3,500 at Pinehurst number 2. And we were just going to just have a straight up match. And then the debate turned into like, why don't we play him as a scramble? Because we've debated
Right.
this forever. We did that live on the show.
Right, live on the
There
show.
you go. That's
And
where the
I
best
think that
ideas happen.
I think the Caddy Championship, whatever we're going to end up naming it, the Caddy Cup or whatever,
Caddy
will
Cup.
end up being a huge idea that came up on this podcast.
The
I
BCC,
think-
the Barstool Caddy Cup, right
Dude,
there.
imagine
I think-
how good the trophy is of just a silhouette
Oh.
of a caddy, like holding the
bib.
bag, carrying a bag with a bib.
flag.
Dude,
yeah.
like
Just-
metal
with
bib.
the flag and the bib.
Oh.
Oh, my god,
Dude, it's fucking crazy, man. It's
So
crazy.
then it would be up to the resort or the course or the club to basically, you have to do whatever you need to do on your end to decipher and present your one winner from your
Your champion.
spot
Right.
and your champion now enters the pool, and then they go to like a regional, and then there'll be like a whatever, a semi-regional, and then there'll be a national championship, something along those lines.
Right. We could. I mean, I know a lot of local guys want to be in it. Like, so you could do like. I think you do resorts for sure because it's easy to like say like this is a resort course. So you have like Stream Song versus Bandon versus Pinehurst versus like they all offer up their guy, and then you can do like locations like Long Island, maybe or Nassau County, which is like the one caddy's going to come out of Nassau County, and like all the clubs can figure out how they want to get that guy from them, right? They can have qualifiers, they can all meet up, they can do that shit. We have to have like one guy because it's going to be hard to get. So all these guys are going to play. It's going to be impossible. You could get 1 billion emails.
No, but I'm saying if you had one from each place, like each event has you can have 100 state. What's up?
From
each club, I'm saying.
Wow.
But I don't think every club in the country is going to do it. Like,
right.
And there's not that many clubs that have caddy programs. Like, there's a lot, but not like every course in the country doesn't have a caddy program. There's
true. No, it'll be doable. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Even if it's like 200, that's still very doable.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably only like 500 courses that have
because I would say in the whole, like in St. Louis, there's probably only a handful of courses in all of St. Louis that have caddy programs.
Right.
I don't know. We'll have to figure out the numbers. But we're doing it. We're doing a caddy cup next year.
We have to figure it out. That's going to be a lot of logistics, and Live Event Lisa's probably going to fucking just slam her phone against something, but we are doing a caddy cup for sure. People are going to get jacked up. Listen, this caddy's going to be like, I'm winning this thing. Right now,
I got a guy in mind. You guys probably all have a guy in mind who you think has a good chance. Kevin Loostelot, baby, out of Las Vegas. Kevin, if you're listening, this is for you, baby.
Wow. This is insane. I'm excited.
Dude, our guys from like Pebble, Gisner's guy, Jeff, he's a really good player. Like, he's a good player, I think.
Yep, that's true. But imagine them wearing their stuff. Like, the video we shoot, like the guy from Pebble walks in. It's like, whoa.
We got a bunch of young Argentinians at Quaker Ridge who all played like college golf at these random schools in Nebraska. Like, those guys are going to be mega dialed for this.
Dude, these guys are sticks, these guys.
Dude, hopefully we get some cheating scandals. Come on. We could
just invite your boy, Frankie.
They're I think in these like mini qualifiers at their clubs, it'll be cutthroat too. I'm picturing this podcast coming out. All right, so now it's fucking November 2nd, whatever it is that we're putting this out, November 3rd. We're obviously not going to have this until next season. We're going to have to come up with all the logistics. But there will be a day where we say, like, all right, this next 2 weeks at your local club, we'll put out a call to action to all the caddy masters to hold their own qualifier. I think those days will be cutthroat.
Yeah, they will.
Like that, I'm picturing like Rockville Lynx, this guy Jeff be like, all right, whoever wants to play in this qualifier, like you guys are showing up Wednesday night. We're doing a tournament. Like winner takes all. You are the guy that we submit to the email. Like if you win that, you get a chance to get in. Those would be fucking intense. I think fights happen. I think fists are thrown.
Yeah, it's up to the club. However the club wants to come up with their guy, if they just say this is the best golfer, done, fine. We don't give a fuck. It's literally totally up to them to come up with their best guy. They want to do a huge qualifier. I imagine most of them will. They could do it. But yeah, I think we just leave it up to the caddy master, the head pro, and be like, just send us your best guy.
I love it. Fucking love it.
Right, and it'll be up to them to decide, like, you know, this guy's a legitimate caddy. Because that's what I'm worried about. I'm just worried about the mini tour players who have, like, caddied a few rounds. We need the caddy masters to be like, all right, this guy's a caddy. He's been here. He's a caddy.
Right. Give the caddy a chance. This is what this is about. It's not about you playing in your tournaments and all that shit.
All right. Oh, what's Alex Bush just sent us something?
Found this online from 2017, so it's def higher now, but nearly 100 public resort facilities and our private
Bush, you need to just chime in when that happens.
Yeah, just talk.
Don't send us a thing we got to read like weirdos.
No, we don't like reading.
Just talk. Bush, can you talk?
Yeah.
Take yourself off. What happened?
Want to just say what you wrote?
Stop putting yourself on mute.
I just said, yeah. That's all I said.
What did you write? What did you write? What happened?
There's 2017, there were about 100 clubs with caddy programs. So
with like full programs, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, yeah. It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely great. I'm sure that we'll have to cipher through a lot of names and a lot of submissions, but you know, it's not something we haven't done before. We're going to figure this out. This is very, very new idea. It's been 5 minutes since we figured this thing out.
5 minutes. This could be next show. We might be like, what are you talking about? We didn't say
right.
I feel like in an hour, we're going to look back on it and be like, what did we just commit to?
No, I think it'll be, I think it's going to be doable. I think it's doable. Even if it's like low scale, like it's going to happen.
I'm going to call it a coin flip right now.
Okay.
I've already gone back. It's just a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
But
It's a lot.
let's do it. Let's do it. 51%. 51%.
I think we can do it. I think there's a way to do it, even if it's like it's not as big a scale as we want it to be, because like we already have such a huge scale Barstool Classic thing, like, which is as big as it gets. I do think that we can like just have 30 resorts like offer up their best caddy, and we just do one tournament. You know what I mean? Like there's a way of doing
if it's
it.
100 in the whole country, that can't be right.
I don't think that's right because there's,
Dude, even if we get 120 golf courses / resorts to
one
send their
tournament.
best caddy, that's one tournament at one place. We do it. We call it the
Done.
Caddy Cup. We have a whole video series about who's coming from where. I think that's very doable.
how do we decide on the 120? Because
Because
what if we get more submissions than 120?
Well, he's just using that as an example.
we're just using it as an example. You could do if we get 240 submissions and we do 2 tournaments. I don't know, or like 2 days and like or 2
right.
flights.
I think we see how many submissions we get, and then we kind of go from there.
Yeah, for sure.
Caddy Cup. Might
gonna
happen, might
happen.
not. Yeah, we'll see. From the gallery, we got to do a couple from the galleries. Foreplay at barstoolsports.com. Turns out when I say that email, we get like dozens of submissions, even though we hadn't gotten any for months leading up to it, which is good. We got a whole new crop of from the gallery. So foreplay at barstoolsports.com, brought to you by Truly Hard Seltzer. We love Truly Hard Seltzer. Speaking of tournaments, classics, the whole deal, we have entered the month of the Barstool Classic Championship just down the street from where I'm at right now, Greyhawk Golf Club. So we will anoint our 4th ever Barstool Classic champions later this month. Brought to you, title sponsored by Truly Hard Seltzer, which is a clean, crisp, refreshing hard seltzer with a hint of fruit, over 30 flavors. So there's something for everyone. Wild Berry's my favorite. All cans have under 110 calories, 1 gram of sugar, naturally gluten-free. Find Truly Hard Seltzer near you at trulyhardseltzer.com. They've also got the new Truly Hard Seltzers with vodka, with real, true vodka. I've been seeing these puppies. I saw a commercial. I'm seeing them on the internet. I'm seeing little whispers in my text groups about people finding these things. So I haven't had one yet. I heard they're phenomenal. I'm excited to try one. You should be trying Truly out there, trulyhardseltzer.com. If it's nice out, and you would like something that is fruity, has good flavor, and is also, 110 calories or less, and they have a million different flavors, 30 plus, Truly's your answer. So go find yourself some Truly at trulyhardseltzer.com. All right. We're going to talk about Ian. Ian says, favorite Truly flavor is Wild Berry. Add a shot of vodka to make it wild with an exclamation point. Do you think the Live guys saw a decrease or increase in social media followings once they left the PGA Tour and joined Live?
Well, I'm sure there's like a answer to this question, but like you could check. But
Yeah, I think he's asking what we think, though.
yeah, I think
guess would be.
I think a decrease would be my guess. I don't know if there's that many people who are like, oh, now that he's on Live, I'm gonna follow him. I feel like there's more that would go the other way. There's more violently anti-Live people than violently pro-Live people. But maybe there's
Thing
all
is,
those
I think
bots.
you get a quick bump, and then you have less exposure. So I think right away, depending on who you were, but if you're like Taylor Gooch was a way bigger name for a couple weeks than he's ever been in his entire career, because he was like the shocking young up and coming guy who had some success in the PGA Tour, who went to Live at the beginning. So I could see him getting a bump right away, but then ever since then being basically invisible, even though they've had success with his squad, like being pretty much invisible. Like, I don't know that his social. So it'd be interesting, but I think over the last several months, I bet he got less than he did over the same stretch of months last year, for example. But I bet he got a pretty quick bump. I would be surprised if he didn't.
I think interactions have gone up tremendously throughout their entire existence of being on Live. If you saw stats on how many times Taylor Gooch was added on Twitter or like tagged in an Instagram post, it is night and day higher when he's on Live than when he was on the PGA Tour. For him to get tagged in anything on the PGA Tour, he had to literally win or be in contention, which the odds are it's like that was one in a blue moon that was happening. Now it's like anyone can be talking about him for his decision that he made, or just being on a team, just Dustin Johnson being good or whatever, like just anyone being good on his team or on Live, he's like mentioned on it now. So yeah, I think that interactions for sure. I don't think followers, I don't think that would have done anything. I don't think, like, I kind of agree with Danny where it's like, all right, like I don't think anyone's following anyone because of this decision. Like I don't think like Rory's following went up because he's pro PGA Tour either. I don't think anyone's like bringing their allegiance to someone's social media because of these decisions.
Yeah, but
think
if
it's talked about
if
more.
you're just in the news more because you're pro PGA Tour and you're getting coverage, your followers naturally go up. I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Rory's profile has expanded over the last year. I think part of that is because he's won a bunch of tournaments and
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
playing
he
great.
won,
He's number
right?
one in the world. But also,
Definitely helps.
I do think that him emerging as the voice of the PGA Tour and sort of the conscience of golf, so to speak, he's got more of a leadership position and more of a platform now than he did before.
Yeah.
I think.
But I guess I would say, like, who's an equivalent to a Taylor Gooch that's still on the PGA Tour? Like a Scott Stallings or something like
Harris English.
that? Like Harris English and Taylor Gooch in the last 6 months, who's had more, like, social media?
Oh my god.
Taylor Gooch by far.
Taylor Gooch by far.
Well,
By
but I
100.
think Frankie's right. I think it's mentions and discussions, but I don't know that people are clicking the follow button.
Yeah, but I think those things are correlated. I think that if you're
Yeah,
getting
probably.
way more mentions than that, you're just going to get more followers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's a weird question. It's like we're if we're really going to decipher like how many followers they got, sure. Like I think it's just interactions on social media, like who's more in the news. It's definitely the guys in Live.
It's true that
Tyler-
Taylor Gooch was the first guy who was like, what the hell? Like Taylor Gooch is going?
Yeah, that was surprising. Tyler from Minnesota, favorite Truly flavor is black cherry. How many different Frank head covers has Tiger Woods had over the years?
I think it's only like 2 or 3. I think he
so?
he replaced it a couple years ago, I remember, and it was a big deal. Or maybe it's every, you know
Really?
what? You can actually find this out. His mom gives it to him. I know his mom gives it to him.
I didn't know that.
His
mom gives it to him?
His mom gives it to him. Yeah. It's like
What do
a
you
mom
mean?
You telling
thing.
me TaylorMade and like Nike doesn't just have that thing waiting for him?
No.
They don't just have a new Frank.
All right.
on-
There's an
on the
article here.
driveway?
May 5th, 2020. 5 things you never knew about Tiger Woods' Frank head cover.
Who's that by?
That is by golf.com. Dylan DeChair and Sean Zock.
Oh, Dylan DeChair, good writer.
You probably know that Tiger's mother, Tita, bought him
Good
the
young
head
rider.
cover and continues to buy him one each year, sowing
Wow.
love from mom into the back of each one in her native Thai.
Jesus.
Wow.
There you go.
I
One
didn't
every year.
know that?
Yeah.
What?
So 25 or 27, whatever it is, however long he's been
Pretty
playing professional
ridiculous. So she actually hand sews love from mom inside Frank
golf in Thai.
in Thai. Wow.
That is way cooler than I thought it was.
That's
you
the
go.
coolest Tiger Woods story of all time. What, like, how have we never heard
That
that?
was one of the segments that I initially pitched was like a Tiger fact of the day or something.
Wow.
That would have been a good one.
Wow. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm gonna bring one for you guys on Monday, and then we'll just see how it works.
You guys hear that just banging?
I don't hear anything.
All right.
Uh-oh, the ghosts are coming.
No. I got
I
someone
will
working
say
on
I've been
on something
creepily looking
downstairs.
just over your right shoulder. And if I just see something, it would be such a moment. Oh, God. All right, fellas. I think, are we done here? It's been like an hour and a half. You guys got anything
Yeah,
else?
I got to get into the city. I got to go do a photo shoot.
You
You know
know
what I
photo
did?
shoots these days.
So
A
many
lot
photo
of
shoots.
photo shoots. Boys are modeling.
Make sure you get those G4 transfusion shoes. We also have a new line, a fall line out right now. But what I really want to talk about is the other day I did a stream like 2 o'clock in the morning. We had like 600 people at 2 o'clock in the morning on like a Monday. Just like I was playing Divot Derby. And I told every single person, I said, you know, we never make this push to like go subscribe to the YouTube page and like do all these things. One of the things we never do is when we release this podcast, we never ask people to like go write a 5-star review and just write anything. Like even if it's just like, all right, like go foreplay or something. Like as simple as that is, I think that you trick the iTunes system when you just write that. It just shoots us all the way up. So if you're a supporter of the podcast, and all these other podcasts do this, they ask for all these things. We never once call attention to it. And the other day I did it on the stream, and I just looked, and there's like 12 new 5-star comments, just being like, Frankie sent me here. Thanks a lot. Love the boys. Here we go. Oh, he just made an eagle on this hole on PGA Tour 2K23. It's just like it's funny to see that it actually works. So I figured I'd call it out to the actual podcast listeners as opposed to the streamers. Go fucking leave a 5-star review, whether you're on Spotify or iTunes. It makes a big difference. I mean, we're not doing this thing for our health. I mean, we want to like keep growing. So if you just hit this thing for 5 stars, it helps us. Simple as that. There's nothing else to do with performance or whatever. iTunes loves the stars and they love recent comments.
Leave a fucking review. And then the other thing is we have a Snapchat show now. So open up your Snapchat.
That's right.
Open up your Snapchat out there. You little snap person. I know you're snapping people left and right. You got best friends.
It's actually a really good
friends.
show.
Snapchat show that we've got on there now, our own. So you go to what? Foreplay? Is that how you find it? You go.
So you go on Snapchat, you see your face, right? You're about to take a selfie. What's up? Hold on, let me see.
What's up?
I'll walk you through this ASMR. You hear that? So I open up Snapchat and I do this. So I just took a selfie. You don't have to do that. You exit out of that. Basically, you're on your screen. You swipe to the right. How do you guys say that? You actually swipe left, but it goes right. Do you say swipe?
I hate that. I get that wrong.
Swipe
every
left.
time.
Swipe left.
So you would say swipe left? No. See, if I'm
it's
trying,
like when somebody tells me it's a higher seed, I'm the same way. I'm like,
if I'm trying to bring something from the right side of the so my screen, if I'm trying to bring something from here, I'm trying to bring it bring it on screen from the right. I'm saying swipe right.
Well, it's like on Tinder or whatever when you would.
So what do they say? I don't do it on
swipe
Tinder.
left and swipe right. Swipe right is when you want the thing to go right. Swipe left is when you want it to go left. So you're trying to get something from the right to go left. So I would say swipe left.
Wow. See, I off the top of my head, I would have said you swipe right, but I guess you're right. I guess it is swipe left. Okay. You bring the thing in from the right. You're on the main screen. You bring it from the right. You go to the little search bar. You type in Foreplay, and there it is. We're right there. Foreplay. Bang. You just got to type in Foreplay, and you subscribe. Simple as that. Steph Curry. Golf skills are next level. Is a whole episode about Steph Curry hitting at the Barstool Classic and all the stuff that he said at the Barstool Classic. It's a very good episode. So make sure. Oh, just dropped my mic. Make sure you go subscribe to that for sure. For sure.
Bang.
For sure.
Please subscribe. Subscribe to our Snapchat show. It's brand new. We want it to be cool. Snapchat's great. It's where the kids are. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch all of our videos, which we got more coming out. And then leave a fucking review on our podcast feed, whether it's Apple, Spotify, wherever. Leave a review because it helps us. Give it 5 stars, the whole deal. We'll be back on Tuesday. Have a good, safe, fun weekend. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard. I'll be in the chat tonight for the video for Crail. I want to argue with you all, so be in there and I'm going to fucking roast you. I hate you.